Judge Lauren gets slapped on paternity court.
You are not.
I knew it!
Thank you!
Thank you!
I knew
Thank you!
it!
I knew it! I told you! He's a liar! No, he's a liar!
And I know who the
I
daddy
told
is.
you! I told you!
I know who the
Thank
daddy
you,
is.
Thank you, thank you!
You better pipe yourself down.
Don't put people off. Don't use profanity in my courtroom.
Mr. Wallace, get out the court. You
What are you gonna do
sorrier
about
than
it?
I thought you were.
Let's go.
Get out the courtroom, Mr. Wallace.
Miss Reed, the glamorous wife of Mr. Rennell, was in paternity court after finding out that her hubby was running in his Mario Kart. Getting women pregnant around the city, she seeks a paternity test and $5,000 for alienation of affections. Miss Austin defends her reputation, asserting that her husband was indeed the father.
Mrs. Austin, she said, I'm Raniel's girlfriend. I said, Raniel's girlfriend, did you know that Raniel was engaged to me or whatever and just had a baby? She said, no. I packed my things and I left with my 2 kids at the time. I went and stayed at my aunt's house. Raniel called my aunt's house several times trying to apologize for what he had done.
Miss Reed narrates her shocking discovery of Miss Austin's relationship with her husband, Rennell. Despite forgiveness, Rennell's repeated betrayal strains their marriage. However, Miss Austin justifies her involvement, blaming Rennell's dissatisfaction with Miss Reed. Classic, isn't it?
When I met Raniel, they was not married. He nor told me that they was engaged neither. I found out on Facebook that Raniel and Mrs. Reed was married when she posted a picture up there of their marriage life. That's when I found out. And yes, I did confront Raniel about the marriage.
But wait, Miss Reed wasn't only dealing with the whole mistress situation. Apparently, Mr. Rennell also had a girlfriend on the list, whom to have claimed a baby by him. Seriously, this case gets as messier as it can be. Let's dive into that.
What brings you to court today? What would you like to add?
I also have a 5-month-old child by Mr. Wallace that he claims he's not the father of.
You also have a 5-month-old child that you say was fathered by Mr. Wallace, but he's denying that child as well.
Yes.
Mr. Rennell denied both the babies, claiming they didn't have his features. Well, his reasons? Both the ladies have been seeing other men during the window of conception. But, like, seriously, this dude had his wife, girlfriend, and mistress all in the same room.
You married to Ms. Reed,
Yes.
but you were sleeping with Ms. Austin.
Yes.
You had a baby with Ms. Reed. 3. You might have a baby with Ms. Austin.
Allegedly.
You busy.
Now that's a case we rarely witness in paternity court. So, in an attempt to bring closure to this paternity square, judge decides to read the results for both the women, hoping to bring the closure that Miss Reed longed for months.
Mr. Wallace, you are her father.
Told you, dummy. She looks just like you, dummy. Everything, dummy.
You
No,
sitting there saying
everything.
that, but you wishing on strings. Sorry.
No,
Yes.
not really.
Soon after the results were announced, Miss Austin called herself the new Miss Rennell. Well, that wasn't a good time for making that claim, as we have 2 other contenders on this list for this man. Let's just see what happens next.
Ms. Austin.
Right.
I found
Soon
out.
to be Miss Wallace.
I'm sorry.
Soon to be Miss
Correct.
Wallace.
Oh my God!
Correction! Raniel told
Oh
me
my God.
that he wasn't marrying anyone else. Sorry, so I'm sorry
wanted
that
me to
he's
watch
where
something.
Raniel told me. Kill Diddy.
Ho! Boy, even though Mr. Rennell had kept his marriage a secret from both the ladies, they all went bizarre after him. But wait, our man of the hour told the court that he did all that because his wife, Miss Reed, was also promiscuous. Now that's gotta irk a nerve.
She cheated on me. She slept with my friends.
He said
She
he
is
owns
a
your
whore.
friends.
She has about 6 boyfriends right
Let's
now.
get some order.
You don't come on here and try to act like
Hold on,
you so
Mr.
perfect.
Wallace, you're not gonna dress a woman in this courtroom that way. You better pipe yourself down.
So picture this crazy love triangle drama unfolding in the courtroom. Miss Brown was tangled up between Mr. Thomas and some co-worker. The defendant was throwing doubt on the paternity and denying if he ever promised to marry the plaintiff. Hence, folks, the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife.
Mr. Thomas, now set the record straight. Did you or did you not promise to marry Ms. Brown after
after you found out she was pregnant?
Your Honor, the devil is a liar. I never promised to marry her, Your Honor. The reason why this case affects me so much is because I never had a father when I grew up. I had to go through a lot.
All right, so Mr. Thomas was up there swearing on everything he never promised to put a ring on it. He throws in a random Martin Luther King reference, making things even weirder. Denies. He didn't have any of Miss Brown's claims and called her manipulative. If that isn't an ideal scenario for a showdown.
There's no hope for it. It's nothing but bad people down there. And this is
What
why.
does this have to do with?
I'm trying to tell you, Judge Lake, because this is why she acts the way she
Words
acts.
of manipulation.
This is why she acts the way she acts.
Okay,
It's iniquity in the land.
Now it's Miss Brown's turn to spill the tea. She spills it all. Thought Thomas was the daddy, wanted that marriage life, even moved cities for a fresh start. But guess what? Thomas went chasing after other women. It's like a heartbreak anthem playing in the background as she opens up.
We told them that we was gonna get married. We was gonna do this.
Never
Although
said that.
that's a lie. You are
said
such a
that.
liar.
All right,
And
let's
the
get some
Lord,
order.
as you just
Let's
said,
get some
the devil
order.
is a lie. You are the devil and you're lying.
Miss Brown!
But let's rewind a little. Miss Brown and Mr. Thomas met at work and got an eye for each other until another man came into the picture. Aw, man! Accusations were flying left and right, yelling, and nobody who was winning this drama war.
We were in a relationship. We was in a monogamous. We was in a
Please, could you
monogamous
talk to her?
relationship.
Don't talk to me.
Okay, was she talking
I
to me?
was talking
Thank
to her.
you. I don't
We
care,
was
but you
never in a
interrupted me, so you need to.
relationship.
I
Anyway,
cannot hear.
Never.
You know what? I got a lot of other things I could be doing right now than listen to two grown people talk over one another.
Miss Brown lays it all out. Her kid, Legend, had no daddy figure, heartbreak vibes, and her son straight up asking about his absent dad. You can feel the emotions as she bares her soul, wanting to make things right for her little one. Come on!
It's been 3 years, going on 4, and he promised that he was gonna be there. When I found out I was pregnant, we said we was gonna get married and we was gonna do this. Now, we probably was not completely in love with each other, but I was willing to do it for him. And
Mr. Thomas, on the other hand, was like a stone wall. He was all cool, claiming he'll love the kid no matter what, but he just wants Miss Brown to back off because of her promiscuous past, which she did confess. Anyway, the defendant denies any connection. It was like emotional poker with a straight face.
You admit that you were in a love triangle.
yes,
Hello.
So that has 3 points.
yes.
1, 2, who's 3?
The
A
third
co-worker.
person who I was in
Somebody
a
worked
relationship.
at the job
The third
with us.
person who I was talking to. Me and Eric, we was just friends at first, okay?
Okay.
Okay, all right. Now it was time for Judge Lake to mend all those broken promises which were made. So was the defendant scared of being the father, or Miss Brown was holding a secret indeed? Brace yourself for the jaw-dropping revelation that's about to hit the courtroom.
Mr. Thomas, you are his father. Mr. Thomas, you've now found out you have a 3-year-old handsome little boy that you have never
His
seen.
birth certificate and show that he is his
Yeah.
father.
Mr. Bell, after playing the role of baby daddy for almost 18 years, dropped the bomb on her daughter, claiming he's not her bio dad. Now that's gotta shatter the unicorn dream. To set the record straight, he comes to paternity court defending his owner.
Ms. Others, why do you believe your father is denying?
Your Honor, I really don't know why he's denying me now after 18 years, but it really truly hurts a lot because all I known him as my father growing up.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I gotta interject because not once in her 18 years have I ever denied her. Not once.
It all began with allegations swinging like a pendulum. And guess what? Mr. Bell's got some suspicions based on a not-so-honest incident from the past. You want to hear this part. Feels like we were trying just to navigate through the lies.
My daughter was about 2 years old. She and I became intimate again, and she wound up pregnant. So, of course, I'm being excited. I'm there for her. When the baby is finally born, my sister and I go by to see my daughter and the new baby. There's a doorbell, and somebody's at the doorbell. She never answered it. Doorbell rings again, and I'm like, are you going to answer the door? And she was like, well, no, I'm not going to answer it.
What? Can you believe that? It's like, wow, that's the plain truth right in front of our mom. But hold on, do we have any way to explain ourselves? Or are we just stuck in another round of lies? let me tell you what happens next.
Also knew that there was a possibility that there was another man involved.
That is not true.
Yes, it is,
That is
Your
not
Honor.
true.
When both men
That's
were at
why-
the house after the baby was born, it was no big thing to you because you had already told both
I
of them.
told both of them that there's a possibility it could be Kevin and a possibility it could be the other dude.
Oh geez, it's really hard to trust either of them at this point. But before we go to the next step, we've got to ask Miss Others all the important questions. We want to be sure and have no doubts about what she's saying in her testimony, you know?
Were you intimate with anyone else during the time your daughter was conceived?
No, Your Honor.
So you were only with Mr. Bell?
Yes.
Mr. Bell, were you present? Were you a part of this birth? Did you attend doctor's appointments? Were you at the hospital when Tiana was born?
I was there when she was born.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes, I did.
All right, now that the statement has been clear, let's check if Miss Others has been telling the truth or not. And hey, don't overlook the fact that this whole paternity mess has been happening for about 2 decades. Now, here's someone else giving us more straightforward information.
You believe that she's your son's child?
I believe there's a possibility.
A possibility?
Yes.
But you also
Because he
believe
was
that
there.
her mother could be lying again?
Yes, most definitely. Because
not
she
lying,
is a
Your
liar.
Honor.
What about 4 kids, 4 baby daddies? That's not lying?
That doesn't
Okay,
make me a
okay.
bad person.
I didn't say you were bad, I said you were a liar.
Oh boy, the supposed grandma seemed pretty upset with the baby mama's actions. Apparently, in the past, another child was claimed, and Mr. Bell's wasn't the father then either. But will the hidden envelope contain what Miss Others wants? Or has the mom been lying all these years?
Mr. Bell, you are not.
I knew it!
Thank you! Thank you!
I knew
Thank
it!
you! I knew it! I told you! I told you! He's a liar! No good liar!
And I know who the
I
daddy
told
is.
you! I told you!
I know who the
Thank
daddy
you.
is.
Thank you, thank you so much! Told you, Tiana!
Oh wow, what a shame. This woman has been lying to her daughter her whole life. That's just crazy. But, you know, the truth always finds a way to come out, and today was the day for Miss Others' mom.
Do you understand when you speak with that type of certainty, your daughter thought that you were sure? She has projected dislike, mistrust, everything else over on these people because she felt like their denial of her or their question of her and their accusation that you possibly could be lying.
All right, drama peeps, I'm bringing you another classic from the Paternity Archives. Miss Chappelle came to paternity court, wanting to prove that her daughter indeed is the doing of Mr. Todd. And once that's done, she was looking for some fast cash. I mean, child support. But wait, our defendant stands tall with his fiancée. Yikes!
I had a job, Your Honor, and he was babysitting the baby for me. And after he didn't babysit anymore, I had to start paying $75 a week. So I had to quit my job, and I don't have a job anymore. And here's my papers right here.
Things quickly turned around into an argument between Mr. Todd and the other person. Mr. Todd said their connection wasn't romantic, more like a situationship. Now, let's dig into that part of the situation. We might find something interesting. Take a look.
If you were having sex and she got pregnant, were you using protection every time?
No, it was time when we met, I was pregnant.
But
we never used.
when they Yeah, when we met,
used
she was
condoms.
pregnant.
She was already pregnant with a baby. But he accepted
But-
me with
but
me
the
and my
other baby, while Lisa-
with someone
All
else's
right.
baby.
What type of relationship is this? They openly admitted to being with more than one person. Ms. Collins, are you here? Mr. Todd had the guts to admit he cheated. There's no need to brag about everything, sir. Come on!
You were having sex with other people in addition to Mr. Todd during the window of conception?
No, Your Honor.
She a liar.
She was not even in the picture, Your Honor, so she has nothing to do with this. We was
What
together
picture that
here.
was?
2011, I was pregnant with someone else, baby. Our baby was already here when they met, Your Honor.
All right.
Here's the twist. In this already tricky situation, Miss Collins let Miss Chappelle come live with them, all for a specific DNA test they had in mind. Just your typical household situation, right? Nope, it was more than that. But we must appreciate the hospitality, right?
She's mad that we're together. That's why she can't.
I care less about them being together, Your Honor. What we're here for is the DNA, about the kid. That's what I want to hear. That's the only thing I want to know. Is he the father of my baby? They can have each other. I don't want them. I want the blood test for my child.
While that might seem logical, the situation gets more complicated because Mr. Todd was at the hospital when Miss Chappelle gave birth. The doctor said interesting things about the baby looking like someone. Will this detail be important in figuring out the mystery of who the father is?
Once I got in there, the doctor said, who is the father? What one of y'all the father? I said, who it looked like. The doctor said, it looked like my friend.
No, it said your
brother.
He said it looked like his brother.
On God.
He said it looked like his brother.
No.
He had his two brothers with him and said it looked like his brother.
Let's get some order.
Hold up. People, you guys are in a courtroom, not your backyard. Anyway, it was tough to explain how both plaintiff and defendant had been in relationships with each other and others. It was a complicated situation, and yet came another bomb.
I'm messing with my girl who I with for 8 years.
All right, listen,
not my baby mama.
Listen. Y'all playing tic-tac-toe or something. I mean, you just here, there, everywhere. What?
This is his baby, he know it.
Can we keep things civil and stop all this yelling? The constant accusations are becoming too much. Let's focus on the paternity results to change the mood. How about that? So, here's the final decision by your favorite paternity expert, Judge Lake.
Mr. Todd, you are not the father.
Oh.
And you're smiling, Miss Chappelle?
Yes, because at the end of the day, this is his child. What they did, they say, I ain't having sex with no one else. And I know this is the only man I was messing with at the time.
Yep, I know it.
Judge Lauren Lake goes crazy on paternity court.
It will never cease to amaze me how you end up having unprotected sex with somebody. What page is this you on? I have never read this book. If you just talking, you wouldn't be in paternity court.
I need to understand because a female cannot impregnate anybody, and this is paternity court, so we need somebody to be a father.
Miss Kelly's got twin trouble, Amra and Amia. She claimed, Norris, you're the dad, but Mr. Norris was like, not me. They were DNA battling to find out who's got that twin gene. But hold on a second. Our man of the hour believed he got a genetic proof that will land the ball right in the net.
You admittedly have not stepped up.
Yes, Your Honor. I don't want to become financial or emotionally involved because I'm not the father.
Explain why.
We were not ever in a committed relationship, so...
Well, it doesn't take that to make a baby. You know that.
It doesn't take that.
The alleged baby daddy did claim to have an unprotected action with the baby mama. But to our surprise, he claimed to not finish the deed. What a contradiction, right? Just listen to Mr. Hotshot giving away his 2 cents.
I remember it, but I remember not finishing. We had a second time. She did tell me she was pregnant. I told her, till I'm 100% sure, I'm not gonna give you 100%.
For some reason, guys love to have sex, but then they don't want to ever claim what they did. They always want to have sex, and then when a baby comes, it's not theirs. I don't want to keep going through this.
Talk about spitting some facts. However, Miss Kelly desperately needs Mr. Norris to step up as a parent because she's already a single mom with 3 children. She believes that co-parenting should be a shared responsibility as she struggles to provide for her kids on her own.
He knows I'm a single mom. You would have thought that he would have been more careful. It was because me and him, we were on the same page at the time. We were calling each other. I was coming over his house.
But when you call each other and come over to one another's house, that doesn't mean that you have unprotected sex when you both are single parents and can't barely take care of the children you have.
Come on, how reckless can you be, Miss Kelly? You have been on a streak for about 19 months, and you let this guy talk you out of it. I'm just amazed at how people can get cozy with people who aren't even committed to them. And Judge Lake was just clearly mad at this behavior.
How you end up having unprotected sex with somebody that they're not even committed to you. If a man doesn't claim you, what would make you think he would claim children? You're saying he wouldn't do anything. He wasn't helping. He didn't provide.
But he knows
he wasn't present.
But he knows what it was between me and him.
I'm like, these adults are indeed missing a scoop of reality. But soon after Miss Kelly was told about her miscalculations, she started to play the tone of Virgin Mary. We are not sure, but just heard her speech.
I know that now. Why would I have unprotected sex with somebody I'm not with? Now I know that now because I'm back to being, And
all this falls on you. At the end of the day, you see,
But I'm the one with the kids, and I'm the one that has to take care of the kids.
There's that old saying, mama's baby, papa's maybe.
But wait, we all know that the alleged baby daddy did mention having genetic proof. We roll the red carpet, guys, here entering the climax of sickle cell trait. Mr. Norris came in with explaining his major doubts. Aw, man.
They both have the sickle cell trait. The sickle cell trait can only be passed genetically, which means either the mother has to have it or the father. Once you're said to have the trait, you go back to the doctor. 4 or 5 months later, you get the shot to see if you have the disease. I don't have the sickle cell trait, either does mine. I went further in investigating myself. My mother's like, well, that's your proof right there, like you're not the father.
What a mystery is this? I think after this, the only way to move forward is to get the results. I mean, you can only just question science with science. So, here's Judge Lake in an attempt to bring closure to the single mother misery, presenting you the DNA results.
Mr. Norris, you are their father. How does it feel, Mr. Norris?
I got twin girls.
That's what I wanted to hear.
It's time to figure out and get this show on the road, really. I've always wanted a girl, and to have 2 of them is a big deal. We'll make it work.
What will you do if you find out that your wife has repeatedly cheated on you? Not just with men, but with women too. What? Now, that's a sight most husbands fear. However, we meet Mr. Green, who has been living your worst nightmare. And above all, his wife's cozy track record has led him to doubt her child's paternity.
You gonna get back to the part I need to understand, because a female cannot impregnate anybody, and this is paternity court, so we need somebody to be a father.
I am the father. I'm the one that got him down.
Isn't that just hilarious? Feels like Miss Green had been one colorful baby mama / queer queen. But hold on. The baby mama isn't just the sole relationship killer. Mr. Green has also been playing fireball with other women. Just hear this out.
Then there was another time where, like, I flew back from Atlanta. Like, we said we was gonna get it together. You know what I'm saying? I flew back from Atlanta, came in the house,
where he
we're
left
chilling.
with another woman. The whole story.
We was broken up. You already had another child by somebody else.
Okay.
So what you mean?
Yes, ma'am, I did. And he would have also had another child during that point. If
Allegedly.
there is still another child
What
that
kind
is
of
possibly
marriage
his.
is this?
Yeah, you are 100% right. What kind of marriage is this? Let me put this together for you all. They were both in a marriage, but they were behaving like a high school couple. Such bizarre allegations had been really on my nerves. Listen to another confession.
Where were you at when you were out of town?
I was in Atlanta.
Right, in Atlanta, right.
With my son, moms. But we wasn't together.
So what are you talking about then?
So let's get this straight. Were you in Atlanta with your son's mother, or were you in Atlanta visiting your son? There's a difference.
I had it out there, and I was,
He
going
was
here
in
and
Atlanta
going
living with his son's mother.
Maybe we just got sidetracked from our main theme, the paternity in question. So, how about we just divert this marriage situation for some other time? So let's find out about the big pregnancy deal. If the marriage is such a mess, I wonder how messy this news could have been.
When do you learn she's pregnant?
2 weeks after I came back from Atlanta.
He's away in Atlanta. You guys are on another break. He comes back. You admit that you had been sleeping with other men and women and having your own fun. He comes back and then you're pregnant.
He was back for like a month before I found out I was pregnant.
Okay, so here's the juicy part we have all been waiting for. You see, right around the time when the baby was on its way, Mr. Green had started to hear some gossip about the baby mama. How scandalous! But just wait, here comes another spiced up allegation.
She be on the barbershops all the time, messing with this one, messing with that one.
All of this was happening during the time the baby was conceived?
Yeah, this is all around the same time, yes. We was partying, having a good time. But at the end of the day, I was about you, and that was that. You was about everything else. I didn't want none of that. You know what I'm saying? That was something that you wanted. That's something you brought the milkshake to the yard. I did not.
Okay.
You did.
The swirling allegations had thoroughly complicated the matter, with Mr. Green at the center of it all. Accusations ranged from intimate encounters to involvement with numerous individuals of both genders. Yikes! We are just bored this time, so how about we get those results?
Mr. Green, you are the father.
Now turn up to that. Turn up now. Yeah.
That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know. Why you all mad? Like, come on.
I don't know what you all thought marriage was when you got into it, but you obviously had no clue.
Oh my gosh, even with all that doubt, someone had to teach these adults to be responsible individuals. Now, wasn't that just frustration to watch? It feels like no one was ready for the commitment, and yet they were in this marriage. So, Judge Lake, how about a quick guide to a marriage?
You all are over here supposed to be married to one another, sleeping with this person, sleeping with that person, and bringing children into this world within this mess. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna keep it really real, it's shameful.
Mr. Deaver went through his wife's cell phone while she was sleeping and discovered she had slept with another man. The classic case of getting caught. Now he has been singing the same old lullaby, mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
When guys are having sex, because I'm a male myself and I know how it goes, you can initially put the condom on, but while you're having sex, guys, they can slip the condom off, do different things, stuff like that, so you never really know.
You don't believe her saying it was protected?
She couldn't know 100%, like I said, because guys do that.
In my opinion, sir, that ain't your doubt, but that's your paranoia. But if you flip the coin, the opposite can also be a reality, right? The bottom line is, this paternity doubt was quite a dilemma. However, this whole scenario was based on revenge. Let's hear that part.
Mr. Walton, you admit you had cheated on her.
Yes.
But then she retaliated, had sex with a person you say was your childhood friend or someone you knew?
Yes, having sex with a guy that I knew for years. We was always together, yes, and other guys that I know of.
So you think it's more than one guy?
Now, there's like not one, but more than one person involved in cheating. I mean, like, wow. To put the cherry on top, Miss Walton did admit to cheating, if that's ever gonna help. Give me a break! Aw, man!
I wasn't trying to confuse him. When I told him I had sex with the other guy besides the other one, he went through my phone once and found out about one guy. The other guy I told him about verbally. He didn't have to go through my phone and find that out. And I didn't do it in a joking manner or anything. I told him verbally I had sex with this guy.
Well, you used protection with both men?
Yes.
What did she just confess? Does this feel like a functional relationship to anyone? Come on! But if this was overwhelming for you, in another shocking revelation, Miss Walton admits to faking a pregnancy test to get back at Mr. Dever.
So you faked the pregnancy test, Miss Deaver?
Yes, ma'am, I did. I wanted him to feel the exact way I felt when he did all the things that he did to me. He's cheated on me numerous times with numerous women, and he didn't stop there. It's been numerous of sex.
You said you were going to get back at him by telling him you were pregnant?
Yes, I wanted him to suffer the way I did.
Now, isn't that one creative way to get back at your man? But at what stake? Yeah, right. At the future of your child? What a stupid move, ma'am. Although, when Miss Walton got pregnant, somebody screamed, "Liar! Pants on fire!"
When she told me she was pregnant, I didn't believe her. She sent me the picture of the test. Of course, I'm not gonna believe that since she lied before. When we actually went to the actual place, that's when I did believe her. But I still was thinking in my mind that she could fake this one as well, me being there. I don't know how.
Why can't these people stay committed to just one person? I mean, why y'all have to go through such a hustle to prove yourself to one another? Oh man, how about Judge Lake shed some light on what went down to help these two understand the reality?
She would never be in the position she was in to hurt that badly. Look, you know the saying, hell hath no fury. Like a what? Woman scorned. You obviously don't know the saying because you don't practice the meaning by it. Meaning, you don't mess with a woman.
Finally, some wisdom words, folks. So, now, how about we just move forward to the DNA test results to bring closure to the couple who have been hurting for years? So, here's the final concealed truth about to set the record straight.
Mr. Deaver, you are his father.
I know. Never heard.
How do you feel, Miss Walton?
I'm happy, but I already knew. He had doubts, but I knew.
Do you remember Mr. Zaria? If not, let me remind you, he's the same dude who walked out of the courtroom devastated upon finding out he's not the biological father of the defendant, Miss Nadia's son. Now he's ready for round 2, questioning the paternity of her 8-month-old daughter.
I think that Cameron and Ariella look alike. Both the babies look alike.
And they're both mine, so hence why they look alike.
Yeah, but that Cameron wasn't mine, so I really don't know whose it is. If it's not mine, it could be several people, so that's the main thing.
And you say it could be several people's?
Yes.
I mean, the guy was sort of right indeed, minus the disrespectful part. Mr. Zara already had his trust shattered by this woman. I'm just amazed to see he was ever even here again. But as for the claim of sleeping with everyone, I don't know, man.
When I got pregnant with Ariella, I was only sleeping with Mr. Zara. Me and Mr. McCaffrey stopped sleeping together years ago.
She was pretty much the community jump-off. She was sleeping with me, my boy, and him, but who knows if it was all at the same time.
Miss Nadia, what had you gotten yourself into? If only you should show some respect to yourself. Now, these men were just standing in the court labeling you nothing more than a community property. But wait, there were also some surprise witnesses singing the same tone.
I've known Tyler for a while, Mr. McCarthy for a while, and I stopped to say what's up, and then Kayla ended up getting into an altercation with
And that's Miss Nato?
Yes, with an individual that I was with. We kept it moving from there, but I seen the two together, hanging together and everything.
But hold on, remember the man who turned out to be the father last time? Well, yeah, right. Mr. Stanatilli, he also tagged along for another round. And now this time he's making allegations against someone else. Now that's something you call a spin of faith.
A lot of people that hung around with them, they were all coming up to me, telling me that Tommy is out there with Kayla. At first I was mad that he was with Kayla because like I said, she was my girl.
But
and then
friends,
people are telling me that she's now pregnant with Tommy's daughter, but she's doing the same thing to Tommy that she did to me.
Absolutely
that she was
not.
sleeping around with Tyler at the same time. There was actually two people, but the other guy is not here, so I'm not gonna use his name.
What is happening? Isn't that just a parade of testimony against the woman? But buckle up for some life lessons, Miss Nadu. Right when everyone was done complaining, you had Judge Lake for a reality punch. I'm not sure if she was thankful for this.
Why were you two hanging around together?
Because we were friends. I'm not allowed to be friends with somebody I previously slept with.
Well, you can. It's a possibility. The man that believes he's the father of a certain baby may have a doubt about whether he is the father of that baby based upon the fact that the last time you were in court with him, he was not the father of the baby when the results were read.
But among all the evidence and testimony against the defendant, there was one ray of hope. Mr. Zara's request for a lie detector test is fulfilled, and the results reveal something we all were expecting. Hear this out! What a change!
You all have a little bit too much cockiness, a little bit too much swagger, but you don't have nothing to back it up. And to sit up and downgrade their mother is trifling. Thankfully.
So, now this result just narrows everything down to Mr. Zara and Mr. McCaffrey. Now we have that part cleared out. How about we just move on to the DNA results and put an end to this paternity triangle? So, volume up, paternity peeps.
It has been determined by this court that her father is Mr. Zara.
You have a lot of apologizing to do.
You didn't apologize to me, just saying.
I don't have an apology to owe to you.
Right, so he don't have one to pay?
Yes, he does.
I don't have an apology to anyone.
You apologize every other day.
That is my grandson I'm still gonna take care of.
This is about the most ignorant stuff I done seen in here in a long time. You all are this is shameful.
If he wasn't the father, then yes, ma'am, I know.
Hold on, no. Cause you done got on my nerves now. Cause you got a smart mouth, but you're not smart enough to know when you're lying. Sitting up trying to pin a baby on a man. Hold on, I'm talking now. When you engage in activities that produces children without using protection, you can end up with a child by a man that has this response.
Miss Hanger is adamant that Mr. Babbitt is the father of her daughter, Chloe. She's brought him to court to get him to pay up for child support that she claims he's been neglecting. But Mr. Babbitt is not having any of it. He's convinced he's not the father and is demanding a DNA test to prove it.
Ms. Hanger, you claim the defendant has already been placed on child support for your daughter, Chloe, and therefore there is no reason to administer a paternity test.
Yes, Your Honor.
You've dragged him to court to order he pay the support he has been neglecting.
Miss Hanger and Mr. Babbitt go back and forth, each sticking to their side of the story. Miss Hanger is not holding back, calling Mr. Babbitt a spoiled, rotten, arrogant brat. But Mr. Babbitt isn't backing down either, insisting that he's not the father and that Chloe doesn't even look like him.
Mr. Babbitt, you petitioned the court to order a DNA test because you are 100% certain that you are not her child's father and claim to have proof to support your case.
Yes, Your Honor.
The court must decide if there is enough evidence to administer a paternity test. But first, Ms. Hanger, what has Mr. Babbitt done for your child?
He's done absolutely nothing for her.
Things take a wild turn when Judge Lauren Lake steps in to try and make sense of the chaos. She's not having any of the back and forth between Miss Hanger and Mr. Babbitt. Judge Lake is on a mission to get to the bottom of this paternity mess, and she's not holding back either.
It was to my restaurant, and it says you're supposed to be paying child support for Chloe Hanger. Didn't give a middle name, didn't give a social security number. On the birthday panel. They're not going to give you her social security number. Why, if I'm the father?
Ms. Hanger, I want to understand what he's saying because I want to understand how a grown man gets paperwork from a court that he doesn't honor. You felt like it was like something fraudulent?
Well, yeah, if I would have got a letter that had it like postmarking on it.
Miss Hanger reveals that Mr. Babbitt has already been placed on child support, but Mr. Babbitt claims he never received the paperwork. He argues that the documents were fraudulent and that he never got a fair chance to defend himself, but Judge Lake isn't buying it.
Just in case it was real, I figured it'd be filled out, so...
So the bottom line is you just decided to disregard
and wait
the paperwork,
for the actual something like this to happen.
Not name the father by default, and now you are responsible for child support.
They told me because son or daughter.
I'm sorry?
If it's my child, I will, but you're correct.
Well, no, you're responsible for it now because you were named the...
They gave him 30 days after he did not show up for this DNA test. They gave him 30 days to appeal it.
Judge Lake demands to see the paperwork that proves Mr. Babbitt is supposed to pay child support. Miss Hanger comes prepared with the evidence, but Mr. Babbitt is quick to dismiss it, claiming that he never received the proper notification. Judge Lake is not a mused and is ready to set the record straight once and for all.
So the bottom line is you two were intimate.
Yes.
At some point.
Yes.
Did you use protection?
No, never.
All right, Mr. Babbitt, do you think at the time she was sleeping with you that she was also sleeping with someone else?
Yeah, the other roommate. Yeah, because he was super jealous when I first showed up there.
What made you believe he was sleeping with her?
He made a comment about how when she gets mad, walked around looking like a bulldog, and then the other statement.
The courtroom is buzzing as Judge Lake grills Mr. Babbitt about his actions, or lack thereof, when it comes to the child support. She's not letting him off the hook that easily, and is determined to get to the bottom of this paternity mystery. The drama is reaching its peak, and Judge Lake is fuming.
So you would be asleep, and then she would climb out of the bed and not come back for an hour?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes 30 or 40 minutes, but it's a long...
No.
And that's when you thought she was also with the roommate?
That's yeah, because I start piecing together, I'm like, well, he said this, but that could have been a past relationship thing. Maybe he's just being jealous. But then her sneaking out, and it wasn't exactly sneaking out, but not coming back, it just kind of starts building some questionable situations here.
As the case unfolds, it becomes clear that there is more to this story than meets the eye. Miss Hanger and Mr. Babbitt are at odds, and Judge Lake is caught in the middle, trying to unravel the truth.
I didn't even
believe
she was
I was
pregnant.
All right.
I went to the doctor's appointment with her to get the ultrasound done. We're sitting there, they're doing this ultrasound, and the nurse is sitting there, okay, we're gonna find that heartbeat. And then the nurse is kind of going over her stomach.
It wasn't an ultrasound, it was a fetal Doppler. Two different things.
Well, anyway, it's supposed to detect at 6 weeks and you're 7.5, and the nurse told me no, so that was my medical advice.
The courtroom is silent as Judge Lake prepares to deliver her verdict. Miss Hanger and Mr. Babbitt are on edge, and the truth is about to be revealed.
Mr. Royce Babbitt, you are her father.
All I want is an apology, Royce.
Huh?
All I want is an apology for her.
I don't owe you any apology.
You owe me an apology for denying her.
Come on, dude.
I've told you from day one.
Yeah, it's my child now, but it wasn't then. I mean, I could
have been your child since conception.
All right.
Ms. Lopez claims that Mr. Carbajal pulled off a DNA testing scam to avoid taking responsibility for her kids. She's tired of holding down the fort solo and needs to prove he's the dad. On the other hand, Mr. Carbajal is adamant that he's not the father and accuses Ms. Lopez of ruining his life with her fraudulent claims.
Ms. Lopez, you are here today because you claim the defendant, Mr. Carbajal, allegedly perpetuated a DNA testing scam to try to deny paternity of your kids. You say you're tired of struggling daily to take care of your children alone, and you need to prove he's their biological father today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, let's set the scene. Mr. Carbajal and Ms. Lopez met on a social network, and things escalated pretty quickly. They had unprotected sex, and boom, Ms. Lopez finds out she's pregnant. But hold up, Mr. Carbajal wasn't exactly doing cartwheels of joy when he heard the news. He was in shock, claiming he didn't want a baby with someone he didn't love. Ouch.
How do we get to the point where you find out you're pregnant and there's a question regarding the paternity?
Your Honor, after I found out I was pregnant, he did not have anything to say. We talked later, and he was still in shock, telling me that he didn't want to have a baby with someone he did not love.
Hold on. So at that time, you told him you're pregnant?
Yes.
Fast forward, and Ms. Lopez gives birth to their daughter, Aliana. But here's where it gets spicy. Mr. Carbajal starts doubting the paternity because a picture on a cell phone looks like Aliana. I mean, come on, a picture. That's all it takes to throw doubt on being a dad. Judge Lake is gonna have a field day with this one.
So you claim Mr. Carbajal was the only person you were with?
Yes, Your Honor.
During that time that she was conceived?
All she's doing this because she wants our money. She knows my
I don't
family.
care about
She knows
money,
my
okay?
family has money, and she knows I don't work.
I don't care about money,
work,
Your Honor.
right?
Growing up, I did not have a father, and I did not want my daughter growing up without a father.
But wait, there's more. Mr. Carbajal even has Aliana's name tattooed on his arm. Talk about commitment, right? Yet he's still questioning if he's the father. Ms. Lopez is pouring her heart out, saying she didn't want her daughter growing up without a father. It's a real tearjerker, folks.
Okay, so all you got is a picture on a cell phone and you go, oh, this guy looks just like my niece. I don't think my brother's the father. What other doubt do you have? Did you witness? Did you hear about her sleeping with other people?
My family was, when they were born, they didn't look nothing like us. My mom and my dad were saying
Your daughter did look
that
like you.
they had nothing related to us.
Now, let's shift gears to baby number 2, Noah. Mr. Carbajal claims he wasn't allowed to sign Noah's birth certificate, adding more fuel to the paternity fire. Ms. Lopez fires back, saying he wasn't there from the beginning. The drama is reaching peak levels, and we're just getting started.
I was there when Aliana was born, when she was being pulled out of my daughter. Second time around, he wasn't there either for the Noah's birth. I was there for Noah's birth. I was there for both babies.
Why couldn't I be?
Why is it? Because you were never
I was
around.
gonna go.
You changed your phone number.
What is it about this handsome young man that you doubt that he's your son?
I'm light-skinned, Your Honor.
He looks just like
Your
his grandpa.
dad is dark.
Enter Mr. Carbajal's sister, Christina, who drops a bombshell about the family not seeing a resemblance between the kids and Mr. Carbajal. Oh boy, things are heating up in the courtroom. Ms. Lopez stands her ground, insisting that Mr. Carbajal is the father, but the doubts keep piling up.
I did not meet up with my ex until a month before I had my daughter. I had no sexual contact with my ex or anybody else but your brother, Christina.
That was too soon, though.
It was not too soon.
The time that you sent us that picture, you were already pregnant with Noah.
Yes,
and that guy looks exactly like Noah.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
As the tension mounts, Judge Lake steps in to bring order to the chaos. She's not having any of the back and forth between the two parties. And in another rare but welcome occurrence, Judge Lake goes off.
To identify which
all we gotta do is swabbing, or just put the name of the father and
the
kids.
You write that name in.
The names are wrong on there. My daughter's name is spelled wrong.
It was the
I
kids.
do not know if
it was the kids. It was the kids. My mom was there. She knew what she was doing.
Writing their names on there?
You think my mom's gonna spend money on that?
I wasn't there.
No.
With emotions running high, Judge Lake dives deep into the case, dissecting every detail to uncover the truth. The stakes are high, and the tension is palpable as she navigates through the conflicting testimonies. It's a showdown for the ages.
I would have let you do it, yes.
You would never.
I wanted to be there when you guys did it.
Gabriella told him, if you
wouldn't
want
let
to do it, let's do it. Let's do the swap.
I told you I wanted to be there.
It happened already. I'm sorry.
You know what? We have the results now from a laboratory conducted DNA test, and you sitting up there still arguing about a home DNA test.
As the case reaches its climax, Judge Lake delivers her final verdict. The courtroom holds its breath as she reveals her decision. Let's find out the truth.
Mr. Carbajal, you are not Noah's father.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
What do you gotta say? What do you gotta say for yourself? Why you been lying to me that they're my kids when they're not?
And you know my
Who you
mom
been
got really
sleeping with?
attached to them. You know how much that's gonna hurt my mom?
Yes, I do. Your mom cried in front of me.
Mr. Morris claims that he's the father of only one of Ms. Thorpe's twin daughters, London, and not the other, Paris. Can you believe that? Twins with two different dads? It's a rare occurrence, but as this court has taught us, rare and impossible are two very different things.
Mr. Morris, you're here because you say certain facts have come to light that make you believe that you fathered one of Miss Thorpe's twins and not the other. You claim a botched home DNA test separated you from your daughter, London, and you intend to rectify that issue today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Morris is spilling the tea. He says that he had doubts about being the father of both twins after some certain circumstances came to light. But hold up, Ms. Thorpe is not having any of it. She's standing her ground, insisting that Mr. Morris fathered both Paris and London.
Both of your twins, Paris and London. You say Mr. Morris's efforts to go behind your back blew up in his face, and you intend to clean up his mess today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Morris, what do you mean you're the father of one twin and not the other? Explain.
Exactly how I sound. Originally, I was believed that both of them.
Ms. Thorpe drops a bombshell revealing that she was seeing another guy when she was involved with Mr. Morris. Oh, the plot thickens. She explains that the timing lines up for Mr. Morris to be the father of both twins, but Mr. Morris is not convinced. He's on a mission to prove his paternity, even if it means causing a whole lot of drama.
I was seeing another guy at the time that me and Antoine was talking, but the time matched up to Antoine being the father of both of my kids. Before anything, we were friends, so I don't even understand why he's even putting me through this. I told Antoine that I wanted to be in a relationship with him, and he turned me down because he was still in love with the mother of his other child. So when that time happened, I got upset and I started messing with another guy.
Ms. Thorpe finds out she's pregnant and Mr. Morris is over the moon. He's buying baby gear left and right, preparing for the arrival of his twins. But then, out of the blue, Mr. Morris decides to take matters into his own hands and conducts a secret DNA test behind Ms. Thorpe's back.
I don't, not one bit, but I went back to the house without Imani's knowledge, and inside the test it was a thing where you get 3 samples, one for the father, one for the child, and one for the child's mother. But of course she didn't know, so I swabbed myself, Paris, and then I used the one for the mother on the other child.
Your Honor, he told me he don't even know which child he swabbed.
The results come back with a 0% probability of Mr. Morris being the father of one of the twins. Cue the gasps from the audience. Ms. Thorpe is blindsided when Mr. Morris texts her the results, and then goes on a social media rampage, airing their dirty laundry for all to see. The drama is at an all-time high, and so is Judge Lauren Lake's temper.
Miss Thorpe, so what happens after he gets these results back? He comes to you and tells you he did it?
No, Your Honor, I was at work at the time. He actually texted me and told me that the DNA test came back and that the twins were not his. At the time, I didn't respond automatically because, like I said, I was at work. So he ended up getting very upset and ended up posting it all over social media and telling everybody.
Judge Lake steps in, ready to lay down the law. She grills Mr. Morris and Ms. Thorpe, trying to get to the bottom of this paternity mess. But Judge Lake isn't one to back down, and she's determined to get to the truth, no matter what it takes.
Got it all over social media that these aren't my babies. I've done a DNA test and these aren't my babies, and you lying. That's basically what he's saying.
Yes, Your Honor.
When I called and said the results, I got a response that was like she knew. She had just said, when I said, I got a test done on the twins, they are not mine. And her response was, oh.
As the case unfolds, emotions run high. Ms. Thorpe is adamant that Mr. Morris is the father of both twins, while Mr. Morris stands by his claim that he's only the father of London. It's a classic, he said. She said situation, and Judge Lake is ready to bring down the hammer.
Say, you sure they're not yours? And I had got sent a picture of my youngest daughter now, and it was side by side with London. I feel like they look just alike. They the same age.
Oh, you had 2 women pregnant at the same time?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you on team too much all the way around.
The courtroom is buzzing with anticipation as Judge Lake prepares to deliver her verdict. Will Mr. Morris be proven to be the father of both twins, or will Ms. Thorpe's claims be validated? The truth is finally about to come to light.
Mr. Morris, you are not the father. Miss Thorpe, somewhere inside of you, you knew this was a very real possibility. I can see your reaction. Who is their father?
The other guy I was talking to. When I told him I was pregnant, he stopped talking to me.
So, we've got Miss Sissom and her daughter Destiny are fuming. They're claiming that Anthony Taylor is the father of Destiny's 8-month-old son, Osiris. And on the other side, we have Ms. Riley, who is adamant that her son is not the father and demands a DNA test.
What stands before me is a case of babies having babies, teenagers. This is upsetting. With that said, Miss Sissom, you and your teenage daughter, Destiny, are here to prove that Anthony Taylor is the father of your daughter's 8-month-old son, Osiris. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Lauren Lake wastes no time as she dives into the nitty-gritty details. Apparently, Mrs. Sissom is 2,000% sure that Anthony is the father, and she's not holding back on the emotions. Grandma Marilyn is also in the mix, advocating for her grandson Osiris to have a father figure in his life.
Ms. Riley, you stand before me claiming that you are 100% positive your son is not the child's father and have insisted on a DNA test from the moment you heard Ms. Sissom was pregnant. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Things just took a wild turn. Turns out Destiny was sneaking around, telling her mom she was at a friend's house when she was actually getting cozy with Anthony. Mom Brenda is not having it, calling out Destiny for her sneaky behavior. It's a classic case of teenagers being teenagers, folks.
When I would call Destiny on her cell phone, she'll say she's at her friend's house. So that's what I was believing.
She was sneaking at my house. She was coming over here lying, conniving, saying, I have a 14-year-old daughter at home. She was sneaking over there, hollering about she was coming over there to see my daughter.
The drama doesn't stop there, folks. Mom Marilyn is on fire, accusing Brenda of not keeping tabs on her daughter and letting the teenage romance blossom under her nose. It's a full-blown showdown between the moms, and Judge Lauren Lake is trying to keep the peace.
Your Honor, I see her walking with another guy. My son at school, this is before Destiny said anything about she was pregnant. Next thing you know, I find out my son come telling me that she told him that she pregnant. How is that? You just came around 2 weeks ago, and he was messing with another girl at the time.
Destiny just spilled the beans about her secret rendezvous with Anthony, and Mom Marilyn is shooketh. She had no idea her daughter was getting down and dirty behind her back. It's a classic case of teenage rebellion meets baby mama drama, and we're here for every minute of it.
And now we're all here.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what kids do. And I'm gonna keep it real. With all the phone and cell phone having we got and all of this communication, Miss Sism, it ain't never a day in this world your daughter should be able to tell you spend the night over a friend's house. What friend? Who's the mother? Where's the number? I'm calling.
But wait, there's more. Anthony's mom isn't holding back either, claiming that Osiris is not her grandbaby and throwing some serious shade at Destiny and her family. As the truth unfolds, it's clear that everyone involved is just desperately trying to figure out who the real daddy is. Judge Lauren Lake isn't afraid to call out the chaos and get to the bottom of this baby daddy mystery.
Saying all this time Anthony is the father of this child, you've been consistent. Anthony's participated in the birth.
Yes, he
The
has.
day of the birth comes.
Because they put me at
No, hold on.
Yes, he has.
I'm getting to that part.
Okay.
So, Miss Riley, you and your daughter come up because you say, since they're saying it's Anthony's baby, this is my grandchild, let me go up there for the birth.
Right.
Destiny's dreams of a bright future are on the line as the truth about Osiris's paternity hangs in the balance. Will Anthony step up to the plate and be the father figure Osiris needs? Or will this teenage love triangle spiral into even more chaos?
Mr. Taylor, you are his father.
I know.
See him now. And I'm
gonna
keep taking care of him.
And
at the end of the day, that is my grandson. I'm still gonna take care of him.
This is about the most ignorant stuff I done seen in here in a long time. Sit down. This is just ignorant.
So, we've got Ms. Renfro here, who is convinced that Mr. Toozy is the father of her 6-month-old son, Kendall. But hold on, Mr. Toozy is not having any of it. He's straight up denying paternity, claiming that the baby looks way too white to be his. This is already shaping up to be a wild ride.
Ms. Renfro, you claim you are 100% certain that the defendant is the father of your 6-month-old son, Kendall. You say Kendall was born with a serious medical condition and believe it was genetically passed down by the defendant. And that's why today's paternity results are critical. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Renfro spills the tea, saying that Mr. Toozy has been MIA throughout her pregnancy and even after the baby was born. She's been reaching out to him, trying to get him involved, but he's been ghosting her like a pro. I mean, come on, Mr. Toozy, step up and take responsibility.
You believe Mr. Toozy is denying paternity?
He don't want to take financial responsibility. He hasn't been there. He wasn't there through my pregnancy. When I had the baby, he wasn't there. For his surgery, he wasn't there. I've contacted him. I tried to let him know, and it was still nothing. No response. No, forget about, nothing.
So you're saying, Ms. Renfro, that Mr. Toozy hasn't shown any care, concern about...
He's never even seen my son.
Mr. Toozy, on the other hand, is sticking to his guns, saying he's not the dad because the baby doesn't look like him. He even brings up some random text messages from Ms. Renfro's exes as evidence. Dude, that's not how paternity works.
You discover you're pregnant.
Yes.
And at that point, you say Mr. Toozy just backed off.
Yeah, there was no contact after that. He ignored my calls, text messages, blocked me.
What happened the day you told him?
He didn't say nothing. He was like, well, who's the dad?
I had sent a few text messages from her random ex-boyfriends.
It wasn't
the
no
dudes
ex.
that she had sex with before.
But wait, it gets even juicier. Ms. Renfro drops the bombshell that she had her ex sign the birth certificate because he's been more of a dad to Kendall than Mr. Toozy. Ouch, that's gotta sting.
My son deserves to know who his dad is because of the issues he has with his health, and he just needs to take responsibility for his child.
Were you intimate with anybody else during the window of time when Kendall was conceived?
No, Your Honor.
Are you sure of that?
Yes, I'm 100% sure. I know who my kids belong to. I don't just lay down with everybody. I don't sleep with everybody unprotected. And
now, here's where things take a serious turn. Kendall has a rare medical condition called Hirschsprung's disease, which Ms. Renfro believes was genetically passed down by Mr. Toozy. She's pleading for him to step up and be there for their son's health issues.
If the baby was mine, it'd be a little more darker than what it is.
Because you made it up in your mind.
No.
No, really. I mean, you're going to testify about something. How do you know that?
Just because, once again, multiple text messages.
But you still have no proof. Just because he's lied as...
You can't remember the text messages. You don't know what they say. You talking about the baby would have been a little bit browner. The baby isn't even fully developed. He only been on this earth for 6 months.
But Mr. Toozy isn't buying it, claiming he doesn't have any medical conditions and that the baby's health problems could come from anywhere in Ms. Renfro's family. Oh boy, this is getting intense. Judge Lauren Lake is not having any of Mr. Toozy's excuses. She's laying down the law and demanding answers.
And what planet do you live on where condoms are 100% effective?
Well, when it's like...
I have a lot of people that need to move there.
I don't know.
So are condoms 100% effective?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so the truth is, the real testimony is, you did have sex with someone else, at least during the window of time before Kendall was conceived.
It was like a month before.
As the DNA results are about to be revealed, the anticipation is killing us. Will Mr. Toozy be proven wrong, or will Ms. Renfro finally get the answers she's been seeking? This is the moment of truth, folks.
Mr. Toozy, you are not the father.
Yes!
Oops.
Told you!
If he wasn't the father, then yes, ma'am, I know.
Hold on. No. Because you done got on my nerves now. Because you got a smart mouth, but you're not smart enough to know when you're lying. Sitting up trying to pin a baby on a man. Hold on, I'm talking now. Since all you can do is shrug your shoulders, stay silent. Negatively about the parent, the child will feel negatively about himself.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and Judge Lake is no exception to this rule. We've got Mr. Johnson in the hot seat, claiming that Miss Owens led him to believe he was the father of her son, Dakari. But hold up, things take a wild turn when it's revealed that Miss Owens also had a fling with another man, Mr. Tyson, who is now room is palpable as Miss Owens reveals split-screen images of Mr. Johnson and Dakari, followed by a snapshot of Dakari with Mr. Tyson. The resemblance is uncanny, and you can practically cut the suspense with a knife. Who's the real daddy here? The drama is reaching its peak, folks. As the truth starts to unravel, we learn that Mr. Johnson was indeed there for Miss Owens during her pregnancy, but the doubts started creeping in as Dakari grew older. Miss Owens, on the other hand, is torn between her past feelings for Mr. Johnson and the undeniable similarities between Dakari and Mr. Tyson.
How absolutely ridiculous.
The courtroom erupts in chaos as Mr. Johnson and Miss Owens go back and forth, each trying to make their case. Accusations fly, emotions run high, and Judge Lauren Lake is not having any of it. She's the courtroom's head honcho, and she's about to lay down the law in the most epic way possible.
Straight, I address what I want to address in the order I want to address.
Ms. Points dropped a bombshell on Mr. Rowan by saying 5 words that changed everything. You are not the father. Can you imagine the shock and disbelief in the courtroom? Ms. Points is here to set the record straight and prove that Mr. Rowan is indeed the father of her daughter, Sherelle.
You are not the father to the defendant. You claim they were said only out of anger and not based in truth. You opened this case to prove to the defendant that he is your daughter Sherelle's father so you can save your relationship with your daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
But hold on, Mr. Rowan isn't convinced. He's got his doubts, especially when he saw Sherelle's curly hair and thought, wait a minute, where did that come from? The drama unfolds as we learn more about their relationship back in the day. High school sweethearts with a twist, it seems.
You caused this drama by telling the defendant out of your own mouth that he was not the biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. It's all because, I was just upset with him at that time, just to get back at him. So I did say that, just those words. Just to get back at
And you have regretted that now?
Yes, I do.
Fast forward to the birth of Cheryl, and things get even more complicated. Mr. Rowan claims he was there from day one, but Ms. Points dropped the bombshell after the birth. The tension in the courtroom is palpable as we try to unravel the truth behind this family's shattered past.
What was it like? It was a high school?
Yeah, we was in high school together. We started going together, and we had like a little ritual. Every day I get out of school, I would go home, and my mom, she'd be at work, and here come Miss Points every day. She come over and Marcellus knock on the door and I look out the window.
Now, Ms. Points is here to make amends and rebuild her relationship with her daughter. She's heartbroken over the rift that was caused by those 5 words spoken in anger. But can she mend the broken pieces and bring her family back together? It's a tough road ahead, but she's determined to make things right.
No, I didn't say that.
During the pregnancy or at the birth?
It was after the birth.
That's incorrect. I was at the hospital when she was born. I named her Sherelle Sade.
So, at the hospital, baby's born. At that point, you're accepting.
Right.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
Well, Your Honor.
As Judge Lake digs deeper into the case, we see the raw emotions and pain that have plagued this family for years. Ms. Points' regret is evident, but will it be enough to heal the wounds that have been festering for so long?
Especially around income tax time.
See, all because of that. All because of money.
You did it out of anger.
Yes, I did.
You told him you were not the father. Why?
I'm just frustrated about a whole lot of things that was going on with him. Doing what he was doing out here, so,
And so you just decided, I'm gonna say these words to hurt him.
Mr. Rowan's side of the story adds another layer to this already complex case. His doubts and suspicions have clouded his judgment, but will the truth finally come to light? Judge Lake is on a mission to uncover the facts and bring closure to this family's turbulent past.
Yes, and so this was all about your hair?
Yes, Your Honor.
So we didn't understand that as Black people, we have all different types of hair, and that just is the way it is. How old were you?
I was 5 years old, so I was confused, angry, mad at my mom because my brother and my sister have a father, and I have other kids too.
The tension in the courtroom is at an all-time high as a fired-up Judge Lake confronts Ms. Points and Mr. Rowan with the hard-hitting questions. Can they put aside their differences and come together for the sake of their daughter? It's a make-or-break moment that will determine the future of this fractured family.
Mr. Rowan, you are not the father.
No.
You are not the father. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. He been in my
Well, that's on paper. Like I say, ain't nothing gonna change. Come here, baby. Come here. Come over here. Can she come be step with her daddy?
You want to stand with your daddy?
Mr. Moore is convinced that little Allie Luna is his daughter. But hold up, Ms. Scott is not having any of it. She's denying left, right, and center that Mr. Moore is the dad. Grab you popcorn, folks. This is going to be a bumpy ride.
You and your current girlfriend claim the defendant has played on your emotions for 4 years and has allowed another man to raise your little girl. You are desperate to put the defendant's doubt to rest so you can finally be in your daughter's life. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Moore spills the tea that he's never even laid eyes on his supposed daughter. Can you believe that? But he's still adamant that Allie Luna is his flesh and blood. Ms. Scott, on the other hand, is standing her ground, saying there's no way Mr. Moore is the father.
I tried to reach out to her on social media. I couldn't even get through on that.
So you have reached out?
Yes, Your Honor.
Through social media and tried her phone number, but she changed her number?
Never about seeing her, never. He only thing he ever said was, that's my child, that's my child. Never about seeing her, that's not your kids.
But wait, there's more. Mr. Moore drops a bombshell that Ms. Scott was his escape plan. Yep, you heard that right. She used him as a getaway from her troubles, and he thought they were in love. Oh, the drama. And Ms. Scott? Well, she's not holding back either, claiming Mr. Moore was just a fling. Ouch.
What happened once she moved in?
Once we moved in, we just kind of, we was hanging out and, talking and, I was kind of, playing the role as if I wanted a relationship with him. And, we had, during that time of us living together, we had sex a few times.
Now let's talk about the juicy details. These two lovebirds met on a dating site and things escalated pretty quickly. They moved in together, had a few romps in the bedroom, and then Ms. Scott got up and left with another man. Can you imagine the drama that unfolded?
Her dad, he was the one that was there. He went to appointments, every single appointment, and he took me there, took me home. He was supportive the whole
Did you tell him
pregnancy.
He was the only possible father, or did you tell him Mr. Moore could also be the biological father?
I told him he was the daddy.
She told me I didn't need to worry about it, Your Honor.
He was the daddy.
Fast forward to the bombshell moment when Ms. Scott finds out she's pregnant. She drops the news on Mr. Moore, who's left reeling. He's thinking, wait a minute, I could be the dad. But Ms. Scott is adamant that he's not the father. The tension in the courtroom is reaching its peak, and Judge Lake is about to explode.
With Mr. Moore,
It didn't carry on.
You said July or August.
It was only a month. It lasted 1 month.
But you know it only takes one time to get pregnant.
Yeah,
so what I don't understand, no, you know that. What I'm trying to understand is why you automatically discount him like.
Because at the time when I found out, I was already
already 2 months pregnant.
And just when you thought things couldn't get any crazier, Mr. Moore reveals that he tried to reach out to Ms. Scott through social media and phone calls, but she blocked him at every turn. Talk about a roller coaster of emotions. Ms. Scott, on the other hand, is standing firm in her belief that Mr. Moore is not the father.
Not from my remembrance. No, it happened in August.
But you met Mr. Moore in July.
Yeah, we met.
But online.
Right.
You hadn't met in person yet.
No.
Until
August. Until July. We moved in together in August. We had sex together in August.
As the truth unfolds, it's clear that these two have a complicated history. Mr. Moore thought he had found love, while Ms. Scott saw him as nothing more than a temporary escape. But now, with a child in the mix, the stakes are higher than ever. Will Judge Lake be able to unravel the truth and bring closure to this messy situation?
Mr. Moore, you are the father. You are the father, Mr. Moore. That's your little girl.
That's 4 years I've missed out, but I'll make it up to her. I promise.
Miss Scott, what are you feeling right now?
I feel bad.
So, we have Miss Wilson here, who admits to having an affair with a married man, Mr. McKnight. She's claiming that her 1-year-old daughter, Shakira, is his, and she's ready to prove it. But here's the kicker. She wants Mr. McKnight to leave his wife and be with her.
Ms. Wilson, you admit to an affair with a married man, and now you are furious that he's denying your 1-year-old daughter, Shakira. You say your relationship with Mr. McKnight may have been a secret, but your daughter isn't. And once you prove he's the father, you want him to leave his wife and go home with you. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. McKnight is sitting there with his wife, Tiffany, and he's not having any of it. He's denying that he's Shakira's father and is standing by his marriage. But Ms. Wilson is not backing down. She wants answers, and she wants them now.
Started off as a good Samaritan.
Yes.
And once that happened, it started communication.
Yes.
And then at some point, he actually said, here's my number.
Yes.
So how does it turn into a sexual relationship from there? What happens?
So he called me and he was like, I wanted to see you. And I said, okay. This was after work.
Ms. Wilson spills the tea on how this whole affair started. She found Mr. McKnight's wallet, returned it to him, and the rest is history. They started communicating, getting to know each other, and then, bam! It turned into a full-blown affair. But here's the twist. Mr. McKnight allegedly told her he was tired of his wife.
At that time, I was going through a lot. My mom had passed. So it's like, you need that type of...
You were looking for comfort.
Yes.
And companionship.
There. Yes.
All right.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes,
ma'am.
May
I say something, please?
Yes.
What she just said in here in court, that's not what she told me.
But hold up, Tiffany. Mr. McKnight's wife isn't having any of it. She steps in and drops some truth bombs. According to her, Ms. Wilson initiated contact and things got steamy real quick. She even mentions some intimate details that have the courtroom buzzing.
And I don't have to try to degrade her. I felt like some adult in this position needed to be responsible because Miss Wilson nor my husband was doing anything to find this out.
Your Honor.
I'm still speaking, ma'am. Thank you. And I have children with my husband. If her daughter is, in fact, my husband's daughter.
Judge Lauren Lake is not here to play games. She's listening intently to all the drama unfolding in her courtroom. Ms. Wilson and Tiffany are going back and forth, each trying to make their case. But Judge Lake is not having any of the drama. She's ready to get to the bottom of this paternity mess.
But Mr. McKnight?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
You're not doing a lot of talking. But you are the common denominator that runs through this whole equation. How did you end up in a place as a married man at your job, supposed to be minding the business that pays you,
Yes, ma'am.
that you end up trying to sleep with Ms. Wilson?
Mr. McKnight finally speaks up and tries to explain how he, a married man, ended up in this messy situation. It all started with a coworker suggesting he should pursue Ms. Wilson. Things escalated quickly, and before he knew it, he was knee-deep in an affair. But the question is, will he step up if Shakira turns out to be his daughter?
Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Sometimes.
No, really. Is this something new?
No, not in Detroit. Not in Detroit.
Your Honor.
You said not where?
Not in Detroit. No.
Oh, no, hold on. I'm from Detroit.
Not with you.
No, hold on. Let's not bring Detroit in it, because I'm from Detroit.
Me too.
And it's plenty of hard-working men that know how to take their butt home after they get off work.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Tiffany, the wife, is not backing down. She's standing by her man, but also wants to ensure that if Shakira is indeed Mr. McKnight's daughter, she knows her siblings. She's all about family and wants to make sure everyone is taken care of. Now that's what I call a strong woman.
Testify as to how you even found out.
Well, Your Honor, initially I found out because Miss Wilson did, in fact, call me on Messenger about 20 times, and she continued to leave messages. I had no idea what it was about. I thought that a coworker was trying to reach out to me. Maybe something had happened to him at work. So I answered. She told me, I just want you to know.
The tension in the courtroom is palpable as Judge Lake tries to make sense of all the drama unfolding before her. Ms. Wilson, Mr. McKnight, and Tiffany are all at odds, each with their own version of events. But Judge Lake is determined to get to the truth, no matter how messy it gets.
She wants to be with him, and she made it clear at the end of these messages.
Whoa, she said you lying blank. You just mad he blanked this good blank. Blank, you ain't stopping blank. You respond, Miss McKnight, and say, girl, please stop, you're embarrassing yourself. That's not my man, baby girl, that's my husband.
So we meet Christy, a young mom who's struggling with low self-esteem and weight issues. She opens up about her daughter's promiscuous behavior, which she believes stems from her own struggles. Christy's mom is also in the mix, expressing her concerns about her daughter's choices. It's a tangled web of relationships and emotions.
Ms. White, you admit you are unsure who fathered your 3-month-old daughter, but say you blame your mother for many of your problems. Now, both possible fathers have been tested and are waiting outside of the courtroom. So, Ms. White, when did you find out about your daughter's promiscuous behavior?
Christy shares her journey of seeking love and acceptance in all the wrong places. From dating multiple guys at once to feeling pressured by friends, she's been through a lot. Her mom's worries are palpable as she tries to guide her daughter through the chaos. But will Christy find the answers she's looking for about her daughter's paternity?
I just felt like, even though people could tell you you're beautiful, you know, if I don't feel it, I don't feel like it's true.
Is that why you started to sleep with young men, boys, to try to get that feeling of I'm beautiful, someone loves me, I'm accepted?
Yes, Your Honor, I did. I wanted.
As the truth unfolds, we're introduced to two possible fathers, Mr. Langford and Mr. Clopton. Mr. Langford reveals a shocking revelation about a threesome involving Christy, adding more drama to the mix. On the other hand, Mr. Clopton's encounter with Christy at a party raises eyebrows. The tension is rising, and we can't wait to see how Judge Lauren Lake handles this explosive situation.
Before anybody comes in here and tells me anything, I want you to know, number one, you're beautiful. You're a beautiful young woman. But it's only so much people can tell you that. You have to believe it yourself, okay? I want you to come sit next to me here, and then we're gonna bring in two of the possible fathers.
Judge Lake steps in with her trademark no-nonsense attitude, ready to get to the bottom of this paternity mystery. She offers words of encouragement to Christy, reminding her of her worth and beauty. It's a touching moment amidst the chaos of the courtroom.
Let's have sex and stuff. We had sex. The other guys, they ain't have on no condom.
Hold on. The other guy?
Yes, ma'am.
What other guy?
The other guy she used to date.
So she asked you to come in the room after you were intimate with Ms. White and you left out. This other gentleman came in the room.
Yes, ma'am.
As the possible fathers await the DNA results, the tension in the courtroom is palpable. Judge Lake's steely gaze cuts through the uncertainty, demanding answers and resolution. Christy's emotional journey unfolds before our eyes, and we can't help but root for her to find the closure she desperately needs. Will the paternity test reveal the identity of her daughter's father?
Going down there to Miss Miller's house, multiple partners I've heard that she's had sex with down there. That's a rumor, it may be a rumor, I don't know. But I'm here for Christina and for my daughter. Christina did not choose her family. None of us chose who our family would be.
With the DNA results in hand, Judge Lake prepares to deliver the moment of truth. The courtroom holds its breath as the fate of Christy's daughter hangs in the balance. Emotions run high as everyone waits anxiously for the revelation. Will Christy finally get the answers she's been searching for, or will this case take a shocking turn?
Mr. Clopton, you are not the father.
Good.
Mr. Langford, you are her father. Made you emotional. You happy?
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah.
Did you use protection every time?
During my pregnancy, I was sure.
Have you been cheating?
No, we didn't.
This girl lies a lot.
Through this pregnancy, who's helping you? A week after you got married, this ex believed this is my child.
Still have open relationships with other men.
Yes, our anniversary is in 2 days.
And I still have possession of the phone.
Mr. Williams says he knew Miss Smith 24 years ago and says she was a promiscuous party girl. Today, after a chance meeting 20 years later, Ms. Smith is saying Mr. Williams is the father of her daughter Alexis. Mr. Williams says there's precisely zero chance that this is true. Well, everyone has big opinions on paternity cases before they get a DNA test, and Mr. Williams is no exception.
Your Honor, it is highly impossible that I'm the father of Miss Smith's daughter for the simple fact that she was a party girl back in the day. Miss Smith was very promiscuous, but at that time, we were just partying, we were having fun, enjoying life. You know, we were young.
How were you enjoying yourself?
We was never in a relationship or anything. We would just hook up after a few drinks and stuff, you know, we'd probably go back to my place or whatever was presentable.
For some reason, I don't think that's a great defense. You can get someone pregnant without being in a relationship with them. In fact, you don't even need to know their last name to get them pregnant. That's how it works. If it didn't work that way, the world wouldn't have so many single mothers. But Mr. Williams isn't quite done yet. He has some evidence to prove his case.
There was nothing, we were never in a relationship. That's the bottom line.
Well, you say it's impossible you can be her daughter's father, but from what you just described, it sounds like it is possible you could be her daughter's father.
Let me show you something. Let me show you something here.
You brought some evidence?
Oh, I got some evidence.
Okay.
I got some evidence. You know why? Because I practice safe sex.
Oh.
That's why it's impossible.
Oh, you're saying that you use protection?
Yes, I use protection.
When you slept with her?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
All right.
Well, a condom isn't evidence that you used protection when you slept with Miss Smith all those years ago, is it? To be fair to Mr. Williams, it isn't like there's any possible evidence you can provide that would prove that you used protection while sleeping with someone 24 years ago. Let's see what Miss Smith has to say.
Did you use protection every time?
No, we didn't. No, we did not.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Your Honor, no, we didn't.
This girl lies a lot. This young lady lies a lot.
He did not use protection. He knew I was in another relationship.
I never
And
knew
I
it was
did
another
come to
relationship.
him and told him it's a possibility that Lexi could be his. I did tell him.
No, you didn't.
And then a couple of years later, I didn't see him no more. I didn't see him no more till Lexi turned what?
Mr. Williams says he only found out about Alexis 3 years ago from some of his friends, so he didn't know that she existed for at least 21 years. Imagine meeting someone and learning that you may have a 21-year-old daughter.
They say, you know, somebody named Gin and Juice. I'm saying Gin and Juice.
Gin and Juice?
Yeah, who in the hell is Gin and Juice? So the guy say, Virginia. I said, Virginia? I said, yeah, I know a girl named Virginia. You know who they had dealing with back in the day. Well, somebody said, well, she said she got a baby from you. I said, well, Virginia lying. I don't have no child from Virginia.
Miss Smith, was that you, Gin and Juice?
Yes, Your Honor, that's the name they used to call me, yes.
Okay, I won't ask no questions. That way you don't have to tell me no lies.
Let's just leave that chapter alone and move on to something else. Mr. Williams says years later, he met Ms. Smith on a bus, and she told him that his daughter wanted to speak to him. He immediately said it was impossible, and he couldn't have a daughter with her. Then, he says he went over to Ms. Smith's house to look at the child and see if there was any resemblance. But that's weird. If Mr. Williams did use protection every time, why would he even go to see if Alexis resembled him? Besides that, Alexis has a different recollection of that visit.
I want to hear from Alexis. I mean, at this point, you've never had an opportunity to meet your father. How did that visit go for you when he came to visit?
I was excited. I enjoyed the time.
Take me back to that day and tell me what happened.
I was coming home from work, and my mama told me that my daddy wanted to see me and talk to me. And I said, okay. When I got there, he was already there. We hugged, we talked, laughed a little bit. We had dinner.
Alexis says she felt a connection with Mr. Williams, but Mr. Williams says that he didn't tell her he wasn't her father because he didn't want to hurt her feelings. Anyway, Ms. Smith eventually tells the court that she isn't completely sure that Mr. Williams here is her daughter's father.
Why did it take you 21 years to tell your daughter who her father was?
Me and her talked, and I told her, I say, it's a possible this person might be your dad or this one.
It must be that one.
When did you tell her this?
I told Lexi that she was young. I talked to her, then I just let it went by. Because at the end of the day, I took care of them anyway. I got 4 kids.
Are there any other options, ma'am, besides Mr. Williams?
It's one more.
There you go.
All right.
Just one more?
There you go.
Well, it can't be just one more, Ms. Smith. If there's at least one other possibility, then you cannot be sure that Alexis's father is Mr. Williams. Anyway, Mr. Williams has one more reason why he doesn't believe he's Alexis's father.
Which no, it's not my child. It's not my child for the simple fact, what woman in their right mind waits 21 years and brings something up like this lady? That's foolish. That's ludicrous.
I wasn't finna run all over Atlanta and try to find you.
You knew where you were coming to the house?
She had her mama.
When you coming to the house, you knew where it was?
She had her mama. She's my concern. This is what I'm worried about right here.
Right, but Mom, listen.
Well, everyone has had their say. It's time for the DNA test to put this matter to rest once and for all.
Mr. Williams.
Yes, ma'am.
You are not the father.
There you go. I rest my case, Your Honor. Look out.
You are not the father.
Can I give her a hug?
If she will allow you.
Look out. I'm sorry, but hey, it's out of my hands now. Only God can help.
Mr. and Mrs. White here have a huge problem. Mrs. White knows that the only way to salvage her marriage is to prove that her husband, Mr. White, is the father of their 3-year-old daughter, Savannah White. Mr. White says he knows that his wife cheated on him, and he wants a DNA test for all 3 of his children, especially Savannah. If more than one of those tests comes back negative, he says he's completely done with the marriage.
Because when it first all come about to where I had the suspicions, it was she was having an ex-boyfriend come over while I was at work. I had neighbors tell me he was coming over, and then I started doing the snooping on Facebook, seeing where his location was, looking through her phone, and then we got into an argument one night, and then he showed up, and that's when I knew there was something happening.
This is so sad because Savannah already looks to Mr. White as her daddy. She's bonded with him, and it's going to be hard telling her that another man is her father. Unfortunately, Mr. White has had doubts over Savannah's paternity since the very first day she was born.
Until February of this year, I've been catching her cheating constantly.
A week after you got married?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. White, have you been cheating?
Yes, but I have like abandonment issues because I was adopted. So like if he's not showing me the love and affection that I need, and I mean, I'm not trying to like make excuses for myself because I admit what I've done is wrong, but I just want him to like show me.
That's really sound logic. To make it worse, Mr. White says he's been catching his wife constantly cheating on him since they got married. The man has basically had no rest. Mrs. White doesn't deny this. She says she's been cheating, but she has a reason for it.
Yes, our anniversary is in 2 days, and so I want to make this right so we can better our marriage and just prove that Savannah is his.
You are certain Savannah is your husband's biological child?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me about when you got married. Take me back to that time.
I moved in with them after a month of being together, and then probably 8 months later.
Mrs. White says she's not making excuses, but all of this really just sounds like she's making excuses. Despite admitting to cheating on her husband several times, Mrs. White is sure of one thing: Savannah belongs to her husband. It's weird how she can be sure of that if she admits to cheating on him multiple times. But you never really know about these cases in paternity court. But let's go back to Mr. White. How did he even find out his wife was cheating on him?
And at the same time, it was kind of a relief because I knew for a fact that it was actually happening. It wasn't just, oh, it's an assumption, I don't know for a fact. But I think more than anything that I was more hurt because I done got attached to her. 6 months old, was there for the whole 9 months. I was the one that cut the umbilical cord. I watched her come out. I've been there for all my kids. I work.
Finding out was heartbreaking for Mr. White, but at least from then onwards, he knew that his wife was cheating on him, and he wasn't just assuming. Aside from Mrs. White's confession, Mr. White has other reasons to believe that his wife cheated on him.
The ex-boyfriend texts back, LOL, you are crazy, about to call you in a minute. Your wife says, LMAO, could you do that for me? Miss White? Why are you so quiet? Why are you texting your ex-boyfriend these things?
Because he don't treat me right.
Your body is naked, wishing you were in the bed. Which bed?
In the texts, Mrs. White tells her ex-boyfriend that she's naked in the bed waiting for him, and he texts back that he wants to call her right away. And yes, the bed in question is the bed she shares with Mr. White. In another text message, she tells another man, who isn't her ex, that she would like to meet up with him. Why is Mrs. White even entertaining these men when she's married with kids to another man? Well, it turns out she has a pretty good excuse.
Found the text message, I took the entire phone, and I still have possession of the phone at my house that has all the pictures, all the text messages, all the calls, everything.
This next photo is a picture we can't even show. A male body part. And I assume, Mr. White, since you handed this up to the court, this is not...
At this point, you've got to seriously ask Mr. White why he hasn't divorced Mrs. White yet. He says it's because he has 3 kids with her, and she's pregnant with a 4th. That's not a bad reason, but choosing to have a 4th child with Mrs. White is entirely on him. And if his testimony is true, there are no guarantees even the child in Mrs. White's womb right now belongs to him. Anyway, the texts aren't the only evidence that Mr. White has. He also has a picture.
I called the court just so I can get the result of the kids and Savannah and just move on with our lives and no more cheating, no more nothing, just us taking care of the kids.
You want to save your marriage?
Yes, Your Honor. I should have done it a long time ago, but things happened. I made mistakes. I just want to fix it. So this is what we need.
And I see tears in your eyes, Mr. White. What are you feeling right now?
I just love her.
All these pictures were found on Mrs. White's phone. Mr. White says that Mrs. White spent Valentine's Day with the gentleman with the obscene picture on her phone, but Mrs. White says they didn't do anything. Instead, they sat down and talked. That's right, Mrs. White thinks Judge Lake and everyone else in paternity court will buy that lie. She's forgotten this is paternity court, not Boo-Boo the Fool's court.
And I've tried to leave this relationship, but she won't let me leave. I've literally tried to physically leave, and she has stood in front of the car to where I couldn't leave, or she says, I'm gonna call the cops and tell them you hit me.
What? Miss White, you doing way too much manipulating.
Well, I'm just trying to fix everything, trying to work on it.
When is the last time you cheated?
It's been months.
Months? How many months?
Since February.
Of course she's lying. The question now is, why is she even in the relationship? Mr. White says it's because of the security and stability he provides. Mr. White also says he's tried to leave, but Mrs. White has employed some pretty chilling tactics to stop him.
You do not know for certain whether the child you're carrying is Mr. White.
No, I know it's his, because around the time I got pregnant, I have not slept with nobody.
Mr. White, does that somehow alleviate your doubt at all?
If Savannah comes back just being the only one that's not mine, I have the decision to sit there and either try to make it work with her or to call it quit. But if more than one comes back not mine, there is no working on it. It is over.
That's just too much. It's time to see the DNA results and see whether Mrs. White is just one lucky cheater or all she's been saying about Samantha's paternity is yet another lie.
Mr. White, you are her father. How do you feel?
I feel happy.
How do you feel, Ms. White?
Relieved. Because he's a great dad and I want him to be all of my children's father.
All right, so we've gotten one answer, but this court also has the other answers you've requested.
Ms. Lohman and her mother are hoping and praying that her fiancé, Mr. Mitchell, is the father of her daughter, London. Mr. Mitchell is also in court today, hoping that London is his daughter. However, he says that the chances of that being the case is almost zero. He also says that if it turns out that he isn't London's father, he would call off his wedding to Ms. Lohman, originally slated for next month. So the stakes are pretty high here.
So, Ms. Lohman, today's results will determine the future of your family? Explain.
Your Honor, when me and Jonathan got together, I was very happy. We got engaged January of last year, and if London is not to become of Mr. Mitchell, then our wedding is going to be off, and that's going to, it's really going to upset me.
All right, and how is it affecting your relationship now?
It seems they used to have a happy relationship, but all that changed when Ms. Lohman told Mr. Mitchell that there was a chance he wasn't London's father. This is because Ms. Lohman didn't tell her ex-boyfriend she was now with Mr. Mitchell, and she continued sleeping with him without protection while she was with Mr. Mitchell.
He does not know to this day that you were also sleeping with Mr. Mitchell.
Right, Your Honor.
Was this just a one-time thing when you all ended up having sex, or did it continue?
It continued.
Were you using protection?
No, Your Honor.
So you have an ex-boyfriend?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who believed that he was the father until they split and she got with Jonathan.
It gets even more complicated because when Ms. Lohman got pregnant, she believed the baby belonged to her ex-boyfriend. She says she believed that because at the time, she was still dating her ex-boyfriend and just wanted the child to be his. But couldn't the opposite just be the case now?
Your Honor, we were not dating at the time I told him there was a possibility. I was still with my ex at the time.
Okay. And so this ex believed this is my child?
Yes, Your Honor.
You never said anything to Mr. Mitchell?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Mitchell, if when you found out, you immediately thought this could be my child, did you confront Ms. Lohman and say, hey, is this my baby?
Not immediately.
When did you do it?
I waited a couple days and thought it over.
In fact, Ms. Lohman says she only accepted the possibility that her child could belong to Mr. Mitchell after she got an estimate of when she conceived. She then looked at the dates and saw that she'd had intercourse with Mr. Mitchell more times than she'd had intercourse with her ex-boyfriend during that week. This means she was sleeping with both of them without protection in the same week. Has she even ever heard of a condom? Anyway, it's really not a numbers game, and the numbers don't matter. Only the timing does.
And then after she was born, I was like, Mr. Mitchell, she looks just like you. I was like, she has your eyes, the same exact eye color.
But just because she has blue eyes and blonde hair doesn't mean she's mine.
Yes, but my ex had light blue eyes. Jonathan has dark blue eyes. London has dark blue eyes.
And so all through this pregnancy, who's helping you?
Mr. Mitchell is.
So you're with her through this pregnancy?
Yes.
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
you're there when the baby's born?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you sign the birth certificate?
No, Your Honor.
Good choice, Ms. Lohman. At least that's one good decision you've made. Ms. Lohman says she's very sure that London is Mr. Mitchell's daughter because they really look alike. However, we've seen way too many cases on paternity court to know that this doesn't matter. So we'll let the DNA test decide who's the father here.
Mr. Mitchell, you are not the father. Miss Lohman, I can tell that was not the news you were expecting to hear.
No, Your Honor.
Are we certain? Is your ex London's biological father?
Ms. Looper thought she'd met a respectful, kind, church-going family man when she met Mr. Downs. She says what she didn't know is that he's the total opposite of that because he's now denied fathering her twin babies, Brayley and Bishop. Mr. Downs, on the other hand, says that Ms. Looper was in a secret relationship while they were dating and is certain he cannot be her children's father.
When we first met, Mr. Downs was amazing. He went to church. One day he offered me a ride, and as soon as we talked, like our music, everything, we just vibed. Like it was great. Then we ran into some problems. He went through my phone, and I did have a lot of open doors.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me get that metaphor.
Okay.
Open doors. So you still had other relationships that you had not quite cut off.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. What isn't reasonable is the fact that Ms. Looper didn't just have open doors with other men. These men were still asking to sleep with her. And she was saying yes. At least that's what Mr. Downs says. Ms. Looper may say she was in the process of closing those doors, but you don't close doors by accepting to sleep with someone, do you?
Yeah, we moved really fast. We had a wedding date in 2 months. The relationship changed tremendously though after he went through my phone. Our vibe was different. We weren't hanging out as much. When I found out I was pregnant, I called him and he didn't even answer. That's where we were at.
So how did he ever find out?
I sent him a text message. He was really nonchalant about it, but once I did get pregnant, he was amazing. Cedric rubbed my feet, rubbed my belly. He would get up at 2 a.m., go get me ice and hot Cheetos.
Looks like Mr. Downs is indeed this responsible and kind family man. Anyway, Mr. Downs says he might have been a great person during the pregnancy, but that's only because he knew there was a tiny chance that he could be the twins' father. He didn't want a situation where he regretted not being there while his kids were being born.
When the twins were born?
As soon as they brought Brayley into the room, the first thing he said was, "Do you guys do DNA tests here? I've never had a kid come out that light." That's the first thing he said when he seen her. But he did go see my son, and he did say that he looked like him.
So when you saw Brayley, you had questions instantly. You didn't feel like you could be her father.
I mean, I know it don't really matter about the complexion and stuff, but like I said, all my kids favor me just extremely. You know what I'm saying? And
Mr. Downs says the boy, Bishop, does look like him somewhat, so he doesn't question his paternity. However, he says Brayley is too light, and since they are fraternal twins, he says there's a chance that only Bishop is his kid. To make things spicier, it appears even Ms. Looper had some doubts about the paternity of her twins.
Ms. Looper, did you tell anyone else that they potentially could be the father of these beautiful twins?
One person.
You did?
Not during the pregnancy. During my pregnancy, I was sure that it was Cedric's. Twins run in his family. We were together the whole time. The timeline, everything just added up. After I had the baby, I posted Brayley on Snapchat, and the other guy who the messages he's seen wrote me and sent me a picture of his daughter and told me that, I believe that that's my daughter.
Oh, so there was another guy. Mr. Downs says when Ms. Looper first told him she was pregnant, he'd asked her if she was 100% certain that the pregnancy was his, and she'd said yes. He says he always knew that was unlikely because Ms. Looper never hassled him to use protection during intercourse. And since she never hassled him, he's sure she never hassled the previous men she slept with either. It's obscene logic, of course, but it's obviously correct.
Well, you've been here through the whole pregnancy. Where are you now?
Yeah, I think once the twins got here, everything just got worse between us on the paternity situation, obviously, because we can actually see them.
So, Mr. Downs, do you feel like you could be the father of one twin and someone else be the father of the other?
yes, ma'am. I just like with Bishop, I felt a much bigger bond with my son.
Mr. Downs says he has an emotional connection to Bishop that he doesn't really have with Brayley, and that's why he feels Bishop belongs to him. That may sound good to Mr. Downs, but that's not really how paternity works. But we do know that in theory, fraternal twins can have different fathers, so Mr. Downs here isn't totally wrong.
I left to California.
You did?
Yes.
Why did you leave for California?
For several reasons. I was unhappy with our relationship at this point, and we were gonna have to move back with his mom. If I'm gonna have to move back with somebody's mom and they're gonna be uncomfortable with me, they're like, I'll take it from my mom, not yours. I just felt more comfortable going home. I was unhappy in the relationship. It wasn't working.
So you went back home?
Correct.
Are you sure that's the only reason you went back home, Ms. Looper? That it wasn't guilt that made you run away? Well, we'll find out right now with the paternity results.
Mr. Downs, you are not the father. In the case of Looper versus Downs, when it comes to 5-month-old Bishop Downs, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Downs, you are not the father. He don't just slip on a banana peel and land between your legs. We shoot it straight in here, baby. And you know what? As women, sometimes we just have to be honest enough to say, you know what? That hurt me. But you let him invest his heart and soul and his money and his time. And then you sit up in front of this court and in front of me as a woman and suggest, oh, you just did that to get what you wanted to get out of it. What does he want to get out of it? It was gonna be about you.
Nathaniel Webb and his girlfriend, Aubriana Reams, are in court to dispute Tasha Cole and her mother's claim that Webb fathered Tasha's 6-month-old daughter, Majestic. Tasha asserts that Webb denies paternity to protect his relationship with Aubriana. Oh, this looks like there will be loads of drama. Let's dig in.
All right, so Mr. Webb, how can you be so certain you are not the child's biological father?
I never had sex with her, Your Honor.
Well, that would rule you out. You've never had sex with her?
No.
Yeah, he did.
She's a liar. She's crazy.
Ms. Cole, we've heard a lot of defenses in this courtroom.
This is a tricky situation. Is it possible to father a child without being intimate with its mother? I don't think so. Plus, Mama Cole said Webb stayed at her daughter's house, and she and her husband took care of him. So, things don't add up.
You know dang good and well that me and my husband took care of you the whole time you were there.
I didn't see you but one time the whole time I was there.
Yeah, you were in her.
All right, let's get some order.
You're a sideshow. You need help just much.
Let's get some order. So, Miss Cole, you said you and your husband were taking care of Mr. Webb?
Yes.
There are only two explanations for why Webb could stay with another woman. Either they were in a non-exclusive relationship, or Webb wasn't her boyfriend then. Who would be okay with their partner staying at someone else's place, even for a short visit? Webb's girlfriend jumps into the conversation just as this question hangs in the air.
I've known him for 7 years, and he's not like that at all. And you called me, called me with his friend telling me that he was there for 3 weeks and you guys were having sex and blah, blah, blah. At first, I did believe that. But then I heard his story, and none of it. Shut up, I am talking.
Hold on. Let's be respectful.
So anyway.
Nobody does, Judge. Not a single person. Webb denies responsibility for Tasha's pregnancy, claiming he argued with her about it over text. However, Tasha alleges Webb previously admitted to being the father.
Ever acknowledge that he was the father?
He admitted to my
cousin. You are a liar.
He admitted to my cousin that he was the dad.
What do you think, Mr. Webb, is Miss Cole's motive if you say you've never slept with her? Why manufacture all of this?
I think she's obsessed with me.
This is getting exhausting. Now there's some confusion about who Tasha's baby daddy is. Initially, it seemed like it wasn't Webb, but her due date made her suspect it might be him. Her explanation clarifies things a bit. Let's see what she has to say.
For certain that the other guy was the dad until my due date got changed a month ahead, which would make him the dad. It went from February 22nd to January 28th.
You submitted a calendar to the court, am I correct? Oh, you have another copy. Jerome, let me see that, please.
Well, despite Tasha's explanation, Webb insists she's wrong. That quickly died down, and the judge decided to get into the whole partying situation.
If it goes on that long, are you sure that one night of partying didn't lead you to sleep with her and you may not even recall?
You know, I've actually...
Or want to admit in front of your girlfriend?
Yeah. No, I've thought of the possibility. Me and her have had this conversation over and over. She knew I was over there partying. I didn't hide nothing from her.
Oh, wow. At this point, someone needs to hold Tasha. Or better still, she needs to stay out of Aubriana's sight, or else she wouldn't like what's coming for her. Webb's girlfriend was beyond mad when Tasha made that nasty statement.
Plenty of times.
It's about
I've known him for 7 years.
It's about that big.
Definitely not. And don't you dare tell him about his penis.
To find out if he's the father. I was without my father for 39 years. I want to know that my grandchild has a father. It's pretty bad.
It ain't me.
Not having a dad.
Everything just keeps getting worse and wilder. At some point, they all started to argue about baby Majestic's skin color, which was not even funny. None of their testimonies seemed to provide a solution to the issue of Majestic's paternity. We all know only one thing can definitely help: the DNA test result. I'm eager to find out what the result says. Let's find out, shall we?
Mr. Webb, you are not her father.
Yeah, you're crazy. You need to go to a mental hospital.
Miss Webb.
There, get her there. Get her there.
Mr. Webb, Miss Reams.
But I want a lie detector.
Listen, we don't clown in this courtroom.
This might feel like a win for Webb, but unfortunately, Baby Majestic's biological father remains a mystery. Ultimately, as the judge acknowledges, the show's purpose is to determine the child's true paternity, regardless of personal rivalry.
I know you probably feel relieved, vindicated, but at the same time, there's a beautiful young baby whose life and paternity is still at issue. Ms. Cole, you stood firm in your testimony that you were intimate with Mr. Webb.
Yes.
And this other guy.
Yes, Your Honor.
Lopez is a mother to 2 children, Aliana and Noah. She is in court to establish that her ex, Horatio Carbajal, is their father. This comes after Carbajal and his family conducted a DIY DNA test on the children to determine paternity, which Lopez alleges was falsified. At the start of the case, Judge Lauren inquired about when the paternity doubts arose.
Paul, take me back. You meet each other.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I'm trying to figure out why was there ever doubt in the first place.
Well, I met her through a social network. She told me, hey, come see me, for the weekend or just one night. So I want to go see her. And that day that I want to go see her, we basically have sex that first night.
Lopez's testimony clarifies that Carbajal didn't plan to have a baby with her, yet they had 2 in 3 years. Meanwhile, Carbajal accused Lopez of being a gold digger, claiming she deceived him into thinking he was Aliana and Noah's dad.
She knows my
I don't
family.
care
She
about
knows
money,
my
okay?
family has money, and she knows I don't work.
I don't care about
don't
money,
work,
Your Honor.
right?
I growing up, I did not have a father, and I did not want my daughter growing up without a father.
Well,
It hurts me to know that she does not have him around. He says he's the father. He even has her name tattooed on his arm.
Hold on a minute. So, Carbajal was wholly convinced that Aliana was his daughter, right? But then it took a single photo, a picture of some random guy his sister's friend thought resembled the baby, for him to start questioning his paternity. That's unbelievable. Even Judge Lake was shocked to hear this.
Okay, so all you got is a picture on a cell phone and you go, oh, this guy looks just like my niece. I don't think my brother's the father. What other doubt do you have? Did you witness? Did you hear about her sleeping with other people?
My family was, when they were born, they didn't look nothing like us. My mom and my dad were saying
Your daughter did look
that
like you.
they had nothing related to us.
Looks like Mama Lopez is ready to defend her daughter. She jumped in to speak as soon as the Carbajals made their accusations. Judge Lauren even had to intervene and seat Mama Lopez next to her daughter so she could talk. What will Mama Lopez say?
That you'd like to add? They're saying they were at the hospital. You say they weren't?
They were at the hospital after they were born. I was there when Aliana was born, when she was being pulled out of my daughter. Second time around, he wasn't there either for the Noah's birth. I was there for Noah's birth. I was there for both babies.
Why could I be?
Why is it? Because you were never
I
around.
was gonna go.
You changed your phone number.
Mama Lopez might be onto something with her picture theory. After all, the Carbajal sister relied on a photo herself to rule out her brother as the father. Now the tables are turned, and Carbajal is using a physical feature, Noah's cleft lip, which, according to him, isn't present in his supposed family, to argue against paternity.
Why was he born with the cleft lip? Why was he born with the cleft lip?
That has nothing to do with genes
My
from you guys.
family does not have a history of cleft lip.
It doesn't matter.
Whether it's my mom or my dad's side.
Listen. So you have an issue regarding the fact that he has a cleft lip. You say no one in your family's ever been born with that. So you believe he's not yours.
Everything this woman says hurts her case the more. New evidence? I'm not surprised. The judge even brought up the Carbajal's DNA test again. Let's see what that's about.
Ms. Lopez, you say Mr. Carbajal perpetrated a DNA testing scam.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that he could get out of taking care of the kid.
He did a paternity test that he bought from the store. I did not know about it until he gave me the results that came back.
Here we go again. More pointless arguments. Judge Lauren, hoping to avoid further drama, quickly moved on to examine Carbajal's over-the-counter DNA evidence.
So here are the results of the test, but I don't see any identification, no need for a witness signature, and you say one of the names is spelled wrong?
Yes, my daughter's first name is actually spelled wrong on there.
And so, Ms. Lopez, you're saying that this test is fraudulent?
Yes, I was not there to witness it.
The initial DNA test wasn't reliable and was discarded. Now, to determine whether Carbajal is the father, we need a new, accurate DNA test. Time to get the real DNA results.
Mr. Carbajal, you are not her father. Okay, now we have the answers for Aliana. We still have to get Noah's.
My mom wouldn't have spent so much money on those tests to
We
be
spend a
swabbing
lot of
other
money.
people.
We spend a
other
lot of
kids.
money to do those tests.
What a disappointment. Instead of waiting patiently for all the results to be presented, everyone just started arguing again. This prompted Judge Lauren to reprimand them for their childish behavior.
We have the results now from a laboratory-conducted DNA test, and you sitting up there still arguing about a home DNA test. Now I know you all don't have no sense. You're just looking for something to argue about. You're just looking for something to say.
The judge wasn't finished lashing out at Lopez. It's understandable why she was so upset with her. Lopez's testimony made the Carbajals look like the bad guys when she was the deceitful one.
Mr. Carbajal, you are not Noah's father.
Thank you, Your Honor. What do you gotta say? What do you gotta say for yourself? Why you been lying to me that they're my kids when they're not?
And you know my
Who you
mom
been
got really
sleeping with?
attached to them. You know how much that's gonna hurt my mom?
Yes, I do.
Jason Deggs believed he was Jason's father because Garen told him so. When Jason was 6 months old, Garen admitted Deggs might not be his biological father due to her infidelity, which Deggs already knew about. How did Deggs discover Garen's cheating?
At the time, we were moving out of my best friend's apartment, and it was just about that I got the truck loaded up with everything. And I went upstairs to grab my last box, and my best friend at the time pulled me aside and told me him and my brother had both slept with me.
What?
I was hurt.
They both.
Wow, that's unbelievable. I never would have guessed this would happen. It's crazy that she cheated on her boyfriend with both his brother and his friend. Even the judge was surprised and wanted to know how she ended up in this mess.
Garen, how did you end up with his best friend?
Well, honestly, it just happened. I didn't do it out of spite towards him or anything. It's not because I'm a bad person. At the time, I was lacking affection from him. He was never home. He was always...
I work, Your Honor. I work full time to make
Okay,
sure that
and then
her nails
after
and
he
her
would
hair
come,
get
after
done
he would get off
to make
work,
sure
he
that she
never
was
came
happier.
home.
This is a disaster. Not only did she cheat, but she showed no regret. Apparently, Deggs cheated too, making things even in her mind. Afterward, they even had a baby together, with Jason by her side the whole time.
Yes, he was there.
I cut the cord. I've been there since day one, taking care of this baby and this woman. Honor, I was there. And then she has the nerve to wait.
Mr. Deggs, you thought this child was yours.
Something.
Yes, Your Honor, I sure did.
No doubts in your mind. You're going
No
on
doubts
about
at
your
all.
life.
Ready
with
to get
your
my
new
family
baby.
established.
Judge Lauren dropped the truth bomb. The courtroom tension didn't ease though. Garen and Deggs kept arguing about who the worst parent was, and things took a turn when Deggs' ex, Marshall, stepped up to the box. She firmly declared that Deggs absolutely takes better care of their son, Jason, than Garen ever could.
And I
couldn't
cheated
do that
on
to
him.
Jason.
Why don't you tell the truth?
So
You
basically,
cheated on him too.
you're here today
Father.
because you feel as if Jason, Mr. Deggs, is a better parent than Ms. Garen.
100%. Oh my God.
Thank you. You may be seated. Ms. Garen, this is complicated because you have a new boyfriend and you say he's also stepped up.
Felton, Garen's boyfriend, naturally took on the role of Jason's father figure. He insists he isn't replacing Deggs as Jason's biological father, but does his best to support Jason. Garen has grown accepting of this, as she hopes Deggs isn't Jason's biological father.
No, I do not want Jason to be the father because every weekend it's drama. It's another girl.
Mr. Deggs, what do you want from today?
I want to be in Jason's life. I love Jason.
That's why
with
he's
all my
called us
heart and
for the
soul.
last-
And if he is your son, are you willing to step up?
The wait is over. It's time for the big reveal. Let's see how that goes, shall we? Did anyone else catch what that woman just said? Unbelievable. After all they've been through, that's her response to the revelation? This is unbelievable. Even Judge Lake seems stunned.
Taking care of a 3-year-old child.
I am disgusted that you would perpetrate this lie on this man during your entire pregnancy up through a delivery room, let him cut the cord on a baby I know you know good and well.
But the judge wasn't even close to finished. She unleashed a verbal beatdown on Garen. Did this shame Garen into an apology? Absolutely not. Not even a crumb of remorse for Deggs. Instead, she had the nerve to do this.
Still trying to be involved with me and also being...
I should have known it was gonna be about you.
It's not about me.
Now, You're standing here, and the only one emotional on the brink of tears is him.
Thomas and Nelson have been together for 6 years and have 5 children. However, Nelson now questions whether he's the biological father of their youngest child, Jakai. Thomas believes Nelson's recent marriage to someone else might be the reason behind his doubts.
I believe Mr. Nelson is denying your baby.
The only thing that I can think of is because he recently got married.
Is that true, Mr. Nelson?
No, it's not, Your Honor. It was good in the beginning when we first started having children. And then after that, it's like me and her started like both doing our own little thing.
Nelson doubts their son's paternity, accusing Thomas of having had affairs before their child's birth. However, Thomas denies this. It's hard to imagine how they reached this point after claiming to be a happy and loving couple.
Our relationship, it was good. That was my best friend. We did everything together.
Take your time. I know it's hard. You have...
Your Honor, we was both young at the time, and we was both new to the whole parent thing. After that, we done got older and grew, and it's like we grew apart away from each other, and I still, even while I'm married, I still be trying to keep.
Despite a story that painted them as a couple who could overcome any obstacle, their relationship crumbled due to infidelity. Nelson's betrayal came first, followed by Thomas's. From what Judge Lauren pointed out, when Nelson discovered Thomas's cheating, their love story took a sharp turn for the worse.
So wait a minute, you had 4 children together, and then you find out Miss Thomas is with another guy?
Yes, that's
How did you find that out?
The dude picture was popping up on her phone.
It didn't start like that. He decided to leave because at that
Why
time
did I leave, though?
we did grow apart.
I used to find stuff on her purse and everything. She'd be like, I'm going to work today.
It's heartbreaking. After 5 years and 4 kids together, Thomas and Nelson's relationship seems to be falling apart. Things took a turn for the worse when Nelson noticed signs that Thomas might be pregnant during a rough patch in their relationship. However, a pregnancy test came back negative, leaving them in a confusing and possibly strained situation.
And Your Honor, that same day he said that, we walked to the store and I took 2 pregnancy tests in front of him, and then they ended up negative. So I was not pregnant. I also had an app on my phone tracking my periods when I'm ovulating, and I have it right here.
Jerome, let me see that evidence.
Currently, it remains unclear how Thomas's sexual relationship with another man proves he could potentially be the father. Thomas's cycle calendar strongly suggests Nelson is the likely father. However, Nelson denies even remembering being intimate with Thomas on the day she alleges it occurred.
When I got back from North Carolina, I had went through her phone. She was like, every time I had sex with him, and this is after you left, I started having sex with this guy. So I was like, all right. So then I went back further in her calendar. I'm like, so what's these days for? She was like, because I said, so we was together then when you was doing it. She was like, okay, so well, I had a slip up.
Wow. Things just got even wilder. Nelson's wife, Courtney, is the woman he cheated on Thomas with when they were dating. And get this, Nelson is apparently still seeing Thomas even though he's married to Courtney. This situation is a total mess.
Mind you, he was cheating on me with her. I didn't know about her until I found out she was calling him through Facebook. And he was trying to lie then because we were still messing around even when he was with her.
See, I wish I had the old phone. I could show you.
I have text messages also that we still mess around still to this day.
Poor Courtney. She got dragged into their mess and ended up getting mixed in this terrible situation. Ever since she met Nelson, Courtney believed she had a wonderful husband. However, it turned out he was cheating on her with his ex, the one with whom he has 4 children. Now, in court, she's forced to reveal the details of this betrayal.
The video is dated April 3rd, which would have been the first day or so that she had showed up in Greensboro. All I know is I saw her demeanor when she came around, and she was kind of like high-stepping. I'm like, okay, this is a person that's supposedly supposed to be so hurt. Like, why is she grinning? And then I saw his demeanor, and he looked guilty.
It is evident that this man has managed to manipulate these women, believing he can maintain relationships with both. However, it has not yet dawned on Thomas and Courtney that Nelson has been toying with them all this while. In fact, Thomas is convinced that Nelson will come back to her and their children, while Courtney sees their encounter as a one-time event. It got worse that these two started to quarrel over the man who had caused them both significant pain.
From wifey to side chick.
No, I'm not nobody's side chick because your husband is the one that tells me he wants to leave.
But that makes you a side chick.
No, it
makes you a
doesn't.
side chick. We're
No, it does
legally
not.
married.
Wait a minute. No, it does not.
Listen,
No, it does not.
listen.
He told me he married you out of spite.
The
audacity. Can you believe it? Two grown women, supposedly with some semblance of sense, throwing all decorum to the wind. Their actions are a slap in the face of decency. It's enough to make your blood pressure rise. And if even a fraction of this mess is causing this much irritation in us, mere observers, just imagine the inferno of frustration raging within Judge Lauren after witnessing this shameless display.
He's sleeping with both of y'all, okay? So, look, neither one of you are on a step higher than the other. Because you may now be his wife, but that's the mother of all his children and maybe another one. You all both look miserable. And I can see the look on your face, Mr. Nelson. You decided in your mind that it's possible for you to have both of these women.
Whew, that was very much needed. Perhaps it will serve as a wake-up call, a harsh reality check for Thomas, particularly for Courtney, to see the web of lies Nelson has spun around them. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. As the drama unfolds, Nelson's deceit unravels further with each passing moment. He paints a picture of marital bliss, claiming he and Courtney have forgiven each other's transgressions. At this point, the judge just wants to know what their plans are now.
What are you hoping for now? What do you want out of this?
I want him to leave me alone, honest. If he's gonna make his marriage work, let your marriage work. I'll try to move forward with my life. He texts me, he calls me and tells me how much he misses me and wants to be with me. It's not the other way around, and I have messages.
Wow, can you believe it? Courtney was devastated after hearing that, convinced her husband was over Thomas for good. However, it seems neither woman had learned their lesson as they erupted into another fiery argument. This time, Judge Lauren had enough and unleashed a barrage of harsh truths on them both.
Wait. Honestly, I don't feel no type of way.
Yes, you do.
If you're gonna make your marriage work, leave me alone.
Stop. There's no sense in standing here when the woman's just trying to acknowledge that both of you are in an emotional battle over a man who's taking advantage of both of you, and then you sit up and say you don't feel some kind of way.
This man has severely mistreated these women. Emotions have run high between them, and words have been exchanged, but Nelson remains indifferent to it all. That should speak volumes to them. Anyway, the main focus of the court session is to determine if Nelson is Jakai's biological father. We'll see how that unfolds shortly.
Mr. Nelson, you are the father. It's number 5.
I met him and he already had, 4 kids with her. So what's one more?
I'll tell you what one more is. One more means this isn't over. This child deserves to know his father. This is about the most ignorant stuff I done seen in here in a long time. You all are this is shameful. These children have come in here, whether they made a mistake or not, they have spoken from their heart or why they did something. The most irrational, immature reasoning ever, but it's their truth. That's how they got here.
Miss Owens doesn't know if her baby daddy is a dead or a living man. Crazy, right? At the birth of Dakari, Mr. Johnson believed he was his son and even signed his birth certificate. But he then found out that his partner, Ms. Owens, had slept with another man, a Mr. Tyson, around the time of conception. Although Ms. Owens was initially convinced that Dakari was Mr. Johnson's child, she got suspicious because the baby looks like Mr. Johnson, but Mr. Tyson is already dead. Let's begin.
Mr. Johnson, you claim
But she was as confused as both parties. She claims she wants the Tysons to have closure and hopes the baby is theirs, so they can have a part of their son alive. But then having a living baby daddy is better for the boy and his mom. Or is it? Let's find out what Mr. Johnson thinks. Tell a man he's the father one day and tell him he's not the next day. Ms. Owens claims that it was when the baby was 6 months old that she and Mr. Johnson started to notice his resemblance to the late Mr. Tyson. But Mr. Johnson believes she knew all along that the baby wasn't his and has just been deceiving.
Be mad at me for doing what you do. Trying to figure out is whether either you're this child's father, potentially the child's father is deceased.
Now Ms. Owens confesses that when she heard Mr. Tyson was shot dead, it didn't even cross her mind that he could be the father of the child she was carrying. But how's this possible when she knows she had slept with him? What do we believe now? Tyson's mother is allowed into the courtroom, and even before she speaks, you can tell from the look on her face how desperately she wants little Dakari to be her grandson. But unlike the cat and rat who won't stop shouting at each other, Miss Tyson is more reasonable and man mostly cares about what will benefit the child.
And this is the very first time you've met Miss Owens?
Yes, yeah. I talked to her on the phone. She sent me pictures of McCrory, but this is my first time seeing her in person. Or if it's his will, I would want this to be my grandson. Or if it's not, still I would be there for Alexis, you know.
Now, who deserves to be Dachary's father? There's Mr. Johnson, who loves him. The young boy calls him daddy, and he calls him son. But there's also Ms. Tyson, who wants a piece of her late son. These two grandmas are in court fighting over the paternity of a baby their teenage children brought to life. Miss Sissom is with her teenage daughter Destiny in court, claiming that her daughter's 8-month-old son, Osiris, belongs to Mr. Anthony Taylor, another teenager. And then there's Ms. Riley, Anthony's mother, who is fully convinced that Osiris is not her son's.
So, Miss Sissom, how certain are you that Anthony is the father?
I'm 2,000% certain, Your Honor, that Anthony is the father of Osiris.
And you are emotional already?
Yep. I have a grandson that's 8 months old. He needs his father. I lost my dad when I was 2, so I know what it's like not to have a father. But I'm not here because of me.
Destiny would be at Anthony's house, and when her mother called, she'd lie she was at a friend's. However, according to Ms. Riley, Destiny used to come over to see her 14-year-old daughter and not to sleep with her son.
The greatest part about this is you all saying the same thing, blaming the opposite child. They had a plan. Destiny was gonna say, I'm going over to visit my friend. That's your daughter. Right. But really the whole time, she having sex with your son. That's both of them teenagers having sex.
Now Ms. Riley introduces another plot to the story. She says while Anthony was in school, she would see Destiny walking with another guy. Then, out of the blues, she comes with the whole Anthony's my baby daddy narrative. And it's funny because even Destiny's mom had no idea there was an Anthony.
You don't know. She just saying I'm going over my friends.
That's all.
That's where I am.
That's all.
So you don't even know about Anthony.
No.
You think your daughter's a virgin.
She was a virgin when she met Anthony. So therefore, yes, it's Anthony's baby, and that's what we're here for, to get this DNA. It's not my grandbaby.
Miss Riley has had nothing to do with the baby since he was born, and it's all because she doesn't think he's theirs. The Sissoms have had to take care of him all these while, and it's quite sad because Destiny has had to put her life on pause.
Your daughter had big dreams for her life.
Yes, she did.
Dreams to do what?
My daughter is a senior this year. She was going to college to be a pediatrician and a lawyer. Now she cannot do that because she has Osiris.
Oh, like my son didn't have dreams.
Oh, excuse me, Your Honor. She has Osiris to take care of. Wow. So she cannot do that now.
Miss Riley was busted for saying she didn't know about her son's and Destiny's relationship. According to Destiny, she used to give him condoms and advise them to use protection, fully aware that she was sleeping over at her house and in his bed.
When I found out, I went to her house, and when I walked to the door and I had my papers, she said, let me guess, you're pregnant. I said, yes. So she called her husband and said, well, Destiny's pregnant, but we don't know if it's Anthony baby or not. At first, Anthony, he didn't want Osiris.
Destiny says that Anthony didn't want the baby at first, especially because he was financially unstable and he didn't want her to take care of the baby alone. Well, that makes sense, given he's a teenager. But later, he said something that shocked everyone in court, including his mom.
We talked more about it, and he said, you know what, I don't feel safe in the streets, so I think you should have my child, just in case if I leave this earth, you can have something to remember me by. Anthony has so many people that was after him that wanted to hurt him, and that's why he wanted me.
At this point, it seems like only Anthony's mom has a problem with him being the baby daddy. He was there all through the pregnancy, went to appointments with Destiny, and was even at the hospital when she gave birth. He cut the cord and everything. So what then is the problem?
By security. Being born.
We sure did.
She came
one
out.
at a time. One at a time, ladies.
That's my grandbaby being born. In her rude, unselfish, disrespectful self, she comes in there. I'm in the waiting room. She's sitting the guard in there and tell them lying and said I'm threatening her.
So Miss Riley feels Ms. Sissom and Destiny had her removed from the hospital when Osiris was born so they could coerce Anthony into signing the birth certificate. He wasn't old enough to have signed it without parental guidance. In her defense, Ms. Sissom says she did that because Ms. Riley had been threatening them, and she wasn't going to risk her daughter's life by letting her in the hospital.
One of her family members threatened us. So yes, I did, because my daughter ain't finna go through this with her. She young. I tried to call this woman and talk to this woman like a woman when she was pregnant. So don't sit up here and tell her that.
Calm down.
Ladies.
Oh, wait a minute.
Ladies. Hold on.
Anthony comes into the court and proves that he's not on his mom's side. He further explains what Destiny said about why he asked her to keep the baby, and honestly, watching him speak, you have no choice but to pity the young man.
Because I picked Destiny and I took her virginity, and I felt like I was getting into a lot of trouble and things that was happening, and I felt like I needed another person that like got me like my blood, and like I didn't want to have a baby, but as in like the things that I was like going through, and like by my cousin dying. And
Judge Lauren lashes out at Destiny for putting her future and dreams on the line just to please Anthony, and from the look on her face, you can tell Destiny has learned her lesson all right.
You all are kids. You don't know what the world you're doing. The rationale is so irrational, it's scary. I get the reason, but the immaturity and the lack of understanding in which you approach this entire situation, we gotta do better.
Now, who's going to leave the court smiling, Ms. Riley or every other person? Let's find out what the result says, and let's also see Judge Lauren give the grannies a piece of her mind, because you just know she is gonna do it.
Mr. Taylor, you are his father.
I got another.
And I'm going to keep taking care of him. And at the end of the day, that is my grandson. I'm still going to take care of him.
What happens when after you've gotten a vasectomy, your wife tells you she's pregnant? Well, ask this couple. Ms. Matson is in court to prove to her husband that her 6-month-old daughter is his biological child. Mr. Matson, on the other hand, accuses her of cheating and strongly doubts he is the father of her child because he is sterile, or so he says.
Now, Ms. Matson, tell the court why it's so important for you to prove to your husband he is your child's biological father.
Because unlike him, I haven't cheated on him but once, and
you want sympathy?
I have defended him through thick and thin.
Now their story is a very interesting one. The first time they met was Mr. Matson's wedding night to another woman, and you know what he asked her? He asked if she wanted to be his next ex-wife. 2 years later, they got married while he was still married to that woman. Who gets married while they are still married? And who gets married to a married man? The story gets even more outrageous when Mr. Matson explains why he can't have kids.
I have a long history of heart conditions, had many procedures done. At the end of one of my procedures, I have congestive heart failure. I had my first heart attack in 1997. I have a defibrillator.
But when Ms. Matson told him she was pregnant, he was happy, and even his doctor thought it was some sort of miracle. But if Mr. Matson had believed this, why did he suddenly change his mind? Well, it's probably because the baby girl came out with red hair.
I'm like, do I see red hair with you? I don't have red hair with me.
Irish have red hair. I don't have Irish. He's the one that has Irish blood in him. Irish people have red hair.
You contend that you have not been with any other man.
Here's the next bomb. Miss Matson doesn't believe her husband had a vasectomy because she heard about it for the first time when she was 6 months pregnant. How do you not tell your wife something as serious as that?
He has done nothing. He says he wants to practice making a baby, but he sure wasn't practicing with me. He was out practicing with everyone else that walked. I heard the text messages of his girlfriends calling him.
If you want to prove it, I could have just sent you pictures.
With these two, you don't even know whose side to take. Mr. Matson openly admits to cheating on his wife and isn't the least bit sorry about it. And the wife? Things start to look really bad for her when Ms. Lopez, Mr. Matson's sister, comes in.
Honor, excuse me, everything that comes out of her mouth is a liar. It's a straight lie. Everything out of her mouth, Your Honor, is a lie.
Okay, Ms. Lopez.
Yes,
what lied to you?
When have you ever lied?
The first time I met you was at a funeral and you attacked me.
Let's get some order.
The hatred the women have for each other is quite glaring, and although Ms. Lopez says it's because she's still friends with Mr. Matson's ex-wife, we know it's more serious than that. She is also of the opinion that the baby is not her brother's because of her red hair.
Baby didn't even look nothing like my brother.
Not when she was born, no, but as she's gotten older, she's 6 months now. She's filling out. She does look like her father, yes.
I hope she don't act like
All right, thank you, Ms. Lopez. You may be seated. Let me ask you, since Sandy's been born,
can the argument get more heated? Oh yes, it can. The family gets so out of control that Judge Lauren also loses it. And we all know that things can get really crazy when Judge Lauren loses control.
Oh my God.
Ms. Matson, Listen, if you can't control your mouth, I'm gonna have to throw you out of here. I want you to understand. I want to hear your side and I want to understand where you're coming from, but you have got to use respectful language.
It gets even crazier because Ms. Matson reveals that the reason she doesn't have a job and has to depend on him financially is because he told someone who was going to employ her that she was a crazy person on meds. How on earth can she get a job if every potential employer thinks she's a psycho?
Mr. Matson, did you say that about
Yes, I
your
did.
wife?
Yes, I did.
Miss Matson, I need to understand.
It doesn't matter what job I try to apply for. Even if I go get a casino job, he's got to call me every 5 minutes. I'm at a table, I can't answer the phone. So he thinks I'm cheating on him. And he thought I was sleeping with someone at the job.
Mr. Matson and his sister gang up against Ms. Matson and Ms. Matson tries her hardest to fight for herself and the kid. Ms. Lopez enjoys fueling the argument until Judge Lauren shuts her up and soon has to do the same to Ms. Matson.
Yeah, and he wouldn't have thought that I'm doing that or doesn't accuse me of it until he's done it.
You know he's done it, and why do you stay with them?
How would you
I
know
don't need
anything,
to hear
Candy? You don't even know nothing about us.
And truthfully, you're not adding to the situation. You're just making it worse. Miss Matson, don't say a word, because I already told you I was going to throw you out this courtroom if
where
you
his wedding ring is.
one more time.
What could the DNA result possibly say? Is the 6-month-old red-haired girl a miracle baby? Or is Matson lying about the vasectomy? Or is the baby even his? Let's find out and look out for how they reacted to it.
Mr. Matson, you are the father.
Told you.
Never apologize.
You're nothing but a...
You need to keep your language down. And I'll tell you what, tomorrow I'll buy you a one flight, you can leave. Leave that baby here with me. I'll show you how to provide for her.
Ms. Renfrow claims to know the fathers of all her kids and is 100% certain that Kendall, her 6-month-old son, belongs to Mr. Toozy. Really brave claim there. The baby was born with a serious medical condition she believes was genetically passed down by Mr. Toozy. But Mr. Toozy is also certain the child is not his. So who's right and who isn't? Is Mr. Toozy denying the child because of his medical condition? There's only one way to find out.
So, Ms. Renfrow, why do you believe Mr. Toozy is denying paternity?
He don't want to take financial responsibility. He hasn't been there. He wasn't there through my pregnancy. When I had the baby, my baby, he wasn't there. I tried to let him know, and it was still nothing. No response, no nothing.
They started as friends, and soon a sexual relationship began. But immediately, Ms. Renfrow told Mr. Toozy she was pregnant. She never heard from him again. The guy stopped picking up her calls or responding to her texts. He blocked her everywhere.
What happened the day you told him?
He didn't say nothing. He was like, well, who's the dad?
I had sent a few text messages from her random ex-boyfriends she had sex with before, and I know this for a fact.
5 months prior to...
What did the text messages say, sir?
I really don't remember what he said. I just kind of glanced through it.
Mr. Toozy's excuse is that he's been in a long-term relationship where they had unprotected sex all the time and his girlfriend didn't get pregnant. He's also been in a situation where an ex-girlfriend claimed he was the father of her baby, and DNA tests later revealed he wasn't. But that doesn't mean Miss Renfrow's lying.
Understand that despite all of that, it has zero relevance as it relates to this child born to this woman.
Yes, Your Honor.
Kendall has Hirschsprung's disease, and Miss Renfrow's sure Kendall didn't get it from her because none of her other kids have it. She thinks Mr. Toozy or someone in his family does, and would like him to take responsibility for the child.
My son deserves to know who his dad is because of the issues he has with his health, and he just needs to take responsibility for his child.
Were you intimate with anybody else during the window of time when Kendall was conceived?
No, Your Honor. I'm 100% sure. I know who my kids belong to.
Here, the situation gets messier. Mr. Toozy reveals to the court that another man, her ex, signed Kendall's birth certificate. And you know what she said? She said she let him because he was there for her. Now, if he was, why does she need Mr. Toozy to claim the child now?
I mean, this child is 6 months old. He has had to overcome medical issues.
That baby don't look nowhere near like me. If the baby was mine, it'd be a little more darker than what it is.
No, really. I mean, you're going to testify about something. How do you know that?
Just because, once again, multiple text messages.
But you still have no proof.
Kristen comes into the picture. She's Ms. Renfrow's best friend and witness. You'd think she'd corroborate her best friend's statement, right? Well, she comes to complicate Ms. Renfrow's perfect story. Apparently, Ms. Renfrow had omitted a very important fact. She had slept with someone else around the same time she and Mr. Toozy had been together.
There was a guy she had slept with during the time?
Well, it was a little before she got pregnant.
The same person that signed a birth certificate.
It wasn't her ex. It was It was before.
Okay, well, who was it?
Okay, yeah, there was a dude before I got pregnant, but we did use a condom, and it was just once.
Now everyone seems to be confused, including Ms. Renfro. She keeps acting like she's 100% sure Kendall's Mr. Toozy's baby, but she's stammering now. And why would her best friend mention that detail if it wasn't an important one to the case?
I wasn't sleeping around. If we wasn't together, it don't matter who I was sleeping with.
Miss Renfro, it does matter though. I just don't want you to convince yourself of this lie. Did you sleep with him a month before you found out you were pregnant, or a month before the window of conception you were given? Two different things.
Mr. Toozy is convinced the only reason Ms. Renfro's throwing the baby at him is to get money out of him. She knows his financial status, she knows he works 2 jobs, and she knows he can afford to take care of the sick child. But Ms. Renfro insists that's not it, because her ex already covers the bills and takes care of the child. She just wants her son to know his daddy.
I'm working with you because I realize you have doubt. But you were sleeping with this woman during the time she conceived the baby.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you prepared to step up and be the father this baby needs and deserves?
Yes, Your Honor. I'll be more than happy to step up and do what I got to do to take care of the kid.
He says that now.
You may not believe this, but the case peaks at the end after Judge Lauren reads out the DNA result. Is it what you expect? You've got to find out. Even Judge Lauren couldn't hide her disappointment.
Mr. Toozy, you are not the father.
Yes!
Oops.
Told you!
Calm down. This ain't a stadium, and the child's life is truly at stake now. That's not your child's biological father.
That's fine. That is fine. I'm okay with that.
Do you know who is?
Yes, ma'am.